Senor, looks like we all got the memo about the shirts on.
We didn't get a chance to put them on there, but after Public Works, we're gonna have public community services. Give a report too, just during staff reports,
Got it.
just.
You want me to add community service?
Yeah.
Who's giving the report?
It'll be Liz.
Okay, got it.
Thank you for that.
You're right, right. I just didn't get a chance to add it to the agenda.
Mr. Mayor,
It happens sometime.
Yeah, well, just a little busy.
Just a few things.
hey, we got new cards. I don't believe it.
Maybe. We want bigger, so big.
Being okay? Been all right? Good, good. Okay, welcome everybody to our Selma City Council regular meeting. It's June 3rd, 2025. It's 6:07. Thank you for allowing us to be a little bit late. We had a group meeting for our downtown design standards, which was very productive, and hopefully we'll have those standards presented and approved in 60 to 90 days. So we're definitely on the move, especially with our downtown. Selma City, we are in the Selma City Council chambers at 1710 Tucker Street, Selma, California, 93662. The teleconference phone number is 301-715-8592. The webinar ID is 891-686-4505. When on the phone, if you wish to address the council during the public comment portion of the agenda, press star 9 to raise your hand. We will select you from the meeting queue. Press star 6 to unmute and mute yourself. Notice to meeting attendees. Members of the audience shall not engage in disorderly or boisterous conduct, including the utterance of threatening or abusive language or other acts which disturb, disrupt, or impede or otherwise render the orderly conduct of a city council meeting infeasible. Tonight's invocation will be given by Pastor Paul Mesa of the Trinity Life Church. Welcome, Pastor.
Before I begin, I need to It is said the truth shall set you free. As I was watching a Dodger game. Yes, I'm only human. There, now I feel totally free.
You're not forgiven. No, just kidding, Pastor.
You got double duty now.
Just ask that you listen to, what's that I write? Lord, I thank you for this day that you have blessed us with, and I thank you. Lord, together we thank you for our wonderful city. All our businesses, the South Fire Department, officials, and all the families and individuals that make our Selma is truly a blessed town with so much more. We've had some difficult times. I want to believe we are God strong. We need wisdom, guidance, and direction to help our city. blessed as it has never been. How do we arrive to new heights and a new greater vision? It's the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 22, starting point for all of us. The verse gives us the second greatest commandment: love your neighbor as yourself. That can be the starting point for all of us. Then Selma has a wonderful opportunity to be. I pray that God would bless this meeting. Bless and enhance our Father, the Son, and
Amen.
Thank you, Pastor.
Thank you, Pastor.
Everybody, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Councilmember Oseguera.
Ready, salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag, United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Hey, would you call the roll, please?
Councilmember Avalos,
Here.
Councilmember Oseguera,
Here.
Councilmember Trujillo,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Guerra,
Here.
Mayor Robertson.
Here, potential conflicts of interest. Any council member who has a potential conflict of interest may now identify the item and recuse themselves from discussing and voting on the matter. Agenda changes or deletions to better accommodate members of the public or inconvenience in the order of presentation. Items on the agenda may not be presented or acted on in the order listed. Additions to the agenda may be added only pursuant to California Government Code Section 54954.2B. City Attorney, do we have any changes tonight to the item?
Yes, we do. Requested changes, Mayor. Items 5.5 and 5.6 are proposed amendments to your ordinances that make the city council the appointing authority with respect to the positions of chief of police and the fire chief. Your current occupants of both offices have raised certain concerns about the impact of the proposed ordinances on their respective contracts. I had a discussion with them this morning, and we've come up with some ways to make some changes either to the proposed ordinance or the existing contract to accommodate those concerns. And so I would ask that you table both of those items and instead add to the agenda two public employment items pursuant to Government Code Section 5497, one for the chief of police and one for the fire chief, so that we can address their concerns before we move on with consideration of the proposed ordinances.
With that, is there any council discussion before I call for this motion? With that, I'll call for a motion to table items 5.5 and 5.6.
I'll make a motion to table it.
Okay, and do you want us to do it as separately to add it back to the
You
closed
can do it
session?
separately, or you can do it in one fell swoop.
Then we'll do in one fell swoop. So we'll table the items 5.5 and 5.6, and then we'll take these existing motions, unless you want to rescind them, to add to the closed session per Government Code 54957, two items pertaining to the police and fire chiefs in closed session to discuss their various employment agreements with the city. Do those two motions stand?
My motion stands.
Great. Will you call the roll, please?
Councilmember Avalos,
Yes.
Councilmember Trujillo,
Yes.
Councilmember Oseguera,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Guerra,
Yes.
Mayor Robertson.
Yes. With that, we will move on with tonight's meeting. On to oral communications. At this time, any member of the public may address the city council regarding any item on the regular meeting agenda over which the council has jurisdiction. No action or discussion will be taken on any item not on the agenda. Issues raised or will be referred to the city manager for review. Members of the public are asked to limit their remarks to 3 minutes. Do we have any public input at this time? Please come forward.
Hello? Yes.
There we go.
Okay. Good evening. My name is Isabel Vargas, and I am currently renting 1971 High Street. It's a building, and my business name is My Vintage and Thrift. Um, I have been paying on that building for almost 3 months now, and I haven't been able to open. I am pretty much ready. And my question to you was, I really didn't understand what a conditional permit was until I looked it up and did some research on it. Um, I did get a fine that I have to pay a fee of $4,500 aside from the $300, the business license that I did pay already. Um, because opening up a business, I've been already paying for a lot of equipment and just getting my store ready. The $4,500 is just, a little stretch for me. I was wondering if you can find it in your hearts to be able to waive that fee. I understand that recently there was another another business that was, that fee was also waived. That would help me a great deal. I am excited about opening up my business. Not only do I want to revitalize Selma, it's right there, a catty corner to Maiden Voyage. I'm excited. It's a nice building, and the clothing that I have is high quality. It's a lot of name brands, and it's gently used, but it is nice women apparel. We're talking business attire, and it is also affordable. And I understand with the economy, and for a lot of my single moms out there, I hear them, I see them, and I do want to be a blessing to the city of Selma. I wasn't born here, I was born in Kingsburg, very proud of that, but my heart has always been here in Selma. I did have an open arms clothing closet and a food ministry that I was in charge of like for 10, 15 years here in the city of Selma. We helped out feed like 300 to 500 people every week. We went to Shorty's, we went to Floral Apartments, Nebraska, you name it. We were there every Saturday, and my kids helped me bag, groceries. My heart, like I said, has been here in Selma, and I would like to continue to be able to offer high quality clothing for a lot of women at an affordable price. So if you guys can find it in your heart to waive that fee, I would appreciate that. I have been in communication with Lupe Macias for a few weeks, and I thought that this would be on the agenda tonight. For some reason, it wasn't, but
Thank you.
yes, thank you.
Can we get the timer going for the 3 minutes as well? Thank you. Also, we'll bring this matter back to council right now. Is there I know it's not a motion, it's not an item at this point, so we can't really discuss it. Is there a motion to add this as an emergency?
I would like to add it as an emergency item.
There a
I'll second.
second? Okay. And we'll need four-fifths vote to pass this, to add this as an emergency item tonight to waive the CUP $4,500 fee so Ms. Vargas can make her appeal. Will she make her appeal here and now? Or is this a motion to just waive the $4,500 fee? City Attorney, can you weigh in on this? Either or both? Okay, so is this the motion to, council members, is this a motion to
Motion.
add this and to waive the fee
To add
tonight?
it and to waive the fee.
And to approve her conditional use permit?
Yes, well, to waive the fee, actually.
Deputy
Especially
City
since-
Manager,
I don't believe you can approve this.
You can't approve the condition.
can send it back to the planning commission without the CUP fee, is that correct, based on
We
council
can
action
begin
tonight?
processing it and put it on the agenda for the June meeting.
Hmm.
However, it does require a public hearing, and so the CUP would go to the June planning commission meeting.
Okay.
But there would be no fee if the council decides to waive it.
Thank you for that
Public hearings
clarification.
for the other one. We did it the same day.
Did we do the other one the same day, the other charitable? It went to the planning commission as well because they had an emergency meeting, I believe, at the planning commission, shaking her head, the
Yeah,
commissioner.
there was a special meeting for that one. I think we had other items that went, but we still had to notice it accordingly in accordance with applicable state law for a public hearing, hold the public hearing and approve it. And so we did that with a special meeting.
Because a conditional use permit requires a hearing in public at your planning commission meeting. Got it.
I want to take into account in considering.
And the application,
Elimination altogether.
I mean, the application fee is for all costs to publicly notice. Those are included as part of the fee structure for the CUP. So when you waive the fee, you waive all of the revenue staff can publicly notice. So it's just a decrease in revenue for the current fiscal year. So we want to take that into account as part of the decision.
How much is the cost to mail out notices to all businesses
I
and
mean, the
individuals
entire
within 300
processing, the
feet?
time, I mean, the sending the notice to the newspaper, the time for commissioners to be here, time for staff to be here is all rolled into that fee. That's why the fee is about $4,500 because typically CUPs are routed to various departments for review. It takes time for them to review it, provide comments. We have to prepare the staff report, public hearing notice, send it to the newspaper for publication, mail out 300-foot mailing notices, postage, envelopes, overtime, all of those things are rolled into that fee.
Okay, well, I have a question. How did you guys do the last one?
The fee was waived by city council, so we didn't collect any revenue to conduct the work.
Okay, so.
So the motion is to waive the
waive
fee, right? To
Right.
put it on the agenda, because we have to put it on the agenda because it's just oral communication. And then to waive the actual $4,500 CUP fee. Does your motion stand, council
My
member?
motion stands.
Does your second stand, Councilmember Avalos?
No,
That's my second.
Oh, does your second
Yes.
stand, Mayor Pro Tem? Sorry about that. Would you call the roll, please?
yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Guerra,
Yes.
Councilmember Avalos,
Yes.
Councilmember Trujillo.
Yeah.
And Mayor Robertson.
Yes. Best of luck.
Thank you so much.
Thank you and good luck with your business.
Thank you.
Bring lots of customers to Selma. Any other comments on oral communications tonight?
Hi, Teresa Salas. In line with that, I wanted to thank the council and the planning commission and community development, everybody who helped Andrea with her lovely little things. She is open. She has had a couple of days where it's kind of a soft opening. She says she at some point wants to have a ribbon cutting. But so I just wanted to thank you all for helping her. She's someone I've known for many, many years. So it was a pleasure to see this come to fruition for her. And if you have not seen her other business, her photography business, One Memory, it's on East Front Street. It's where the TV repair shop used to be. It's a huge place. I took my mom to take some pictures for Mother's Day and they came out fabulous. My mom's 96. And so if anybody wants to have pictures taken, that's the place to go. It's right here in Selma. And she's been doing that for, like I told you before, this is her 4th location. Each time she's moved, she's gone to a bigger location. And because she just has that much clientele coming in and stuff. And it's somebody here, homegrown in Selma. And it's a great business. And I just want to, again, thank everybody for the help to get her off the ground. Thank
Thanks
you.
for championing our cause, definitely. Thank you, council. Okay, anybody else with public input at this time? Anybody online or on the phone with a question or comment?
I see no one online, Mayor.
Q. We'll bring the matter back to council and move on to departmental reports. City manager,
Nothing to report.
city attorney, deputy city manager.
Just one quick item, the Casitas project, the environmental review comment period for the draft environmental impact report was open on May 23rd for 45 days. And so the public is invited to review that document and submit comments related to the environmental review for that project. Following the close of the comment period, we'll prepare a final EIR response to comments. It'll be presented to Planning Commission and subsequently the City Council for consideration. Thank you.
Is that deputy city manager, is that review available online or only in person?
It's available both. I think we have copies here. If you want to come in and read the hard copy, I think it's only like 700 pages or something. So If you want to read it online,
Get here early.
it can be downloaded online as well on the Community Development Department page.
For that. Administrative Services Director.
Nothing to report.
Okay. City Clerk,
Nothing to report.
Finance Director, Moreno,
Mayor, nothing to report.
Fire Chief Webster.
I'll change it up and report something just so you guys get some information. Fire season is upon us. We've seen a significant uptick in wildland fires in the region, as well as within the Fresno County area that surrounds our city. We've had a handful of fires as well within the city limits. Outside of that, we continue to work with code enforcement to handle some of our weed abatement stuff on the vacant properties throughout town. And yeah, that's it.
Sounds good. Thank you. Police Chief Alcaraz.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members. I'll make this short. Just a reminder, and we'll put a PSA out to our citizens. Graduation is happening this week, Wednesday and Thursday nights at the high school. So just a reminder, our citizens, that there's going to be delays, to please be mindful and slow down. We don't want to have any tragedies. So that's all for the police department, sir.
Thank you. Do we have a report for the Public Works Director tonight? No. Okay. How about Community Services?
Good evening. I would like to speak on the cultural arts tonight. Just giving you an update on our department. Currently, we have Seussical playing at the Selma Arts Center this weekend and next weekend, June 5th through the 8th and 12th through the 14th. We also have registrations open for Finding Nemo Junior. This is our ages 7 to 17. This will be an event and a project that happens throughout the summer, and their performances will be in September. And we are also going to be part of the block party that Recreation will be putting on June 27th. We'll be out there with the beer garden. We also have Rent opening up in July 11th through August 2nd. We will have a summer arts gallery again this year. So that information will be going out very soon, but we're hoping to have it in July through August. Just something for the patrons to get out of the heat and come in, see some art, open to the public during our business hours. We also have a SAC team production of Hadestown opening August 15th. And our SAC teens will be going to see Anne Juliet, a Broadway touring show this July 5th. And then we are working on our season announcement, which will be open up to the public. And we will be looking to work with the local restaurants and inviting local sponsors as well. Thank you.
Thank you. And for those who are watching.
You still have a list from.
Oh, great. Come on up.
Thank you. We oversee two different worlds all under the same umbrella. And
Sure.
so I thought it would be great for us to both have a moment to speak. And so community services is in full force busy season at this time. And so our T-ball season just wrapped up. We had 120 players registered to play and that completed the season. Our co-ed softball registration is still open. That will be closing soon, and our league will begin in July. We're currently in the process of kicking off our summer series. And so this Friday is our first movie in the park. We're going to be playing Inside Out 2 here at Lincoln Park right down the street. And so that'll be free to the community. We have some free popcorn while supplies last. And the movie starts about 7:45 is our goal. And so that's when we'll be ready and set up to go. Our community swim program is a go. We received funding from the Selma Healthcare District at last night's meeting. And so we will have community swim Saturdays and Sundays, noon to 4. My goal is to get that flyer out tomorrow. There was just a few more official details that I was trying to narrow down. And so that information will come out, and then we'll share it through Selma Unified as well before school's out. For the senior center, we have an upcoming trip. They're going to Morro Bay on a lunch cruise. It's $105 per person. If you have a senior or someone in your family that's interested in going and maybe you want to go with them, it is open to the community. We don't just limit seniors. So if anybody else would like to join us, as long as we have the seating, you're welcome to join us as well. The senior center stove is now up and running. So it has been completely hooked up and it's ready to go at the senior center. We got the gas turned on this morning. And so we'll be making quesadillas tomorrow, probably, because that's all I can cook. As for the Salazar Center, that one is a little bit on delay. Jorgensen needs to come out and do some repairs to the hood. And so as soon as that's completed, that one will be up and running. So pending an appointment with them. And I did want to announce that our Recreation Commission has started a passion project. And so they are working and serving at the Christian Cafe. And so I just wanted to share that with you guys. So they're out there 4 times a year at the Christian Cafe at the Methodist Church down the street. Let me see. There is just another update over at the senior center. We're getting our pool tables resurfaced, and our goal is to get some new fresh paint and some bar stools over in the billiard room. And so the gentlemen are very excited for new life to their hangout spot. There is a legacy event taking place on June 15th. And so since we won't have a meeting prior to that, wanted to let you guys know that the Portuguese parade will be taking place June 15th. From about 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. And so there will be some road closures on Dockery Street. We'll make sure to post it on our social medias and all that good stuff so the people are aware of that closure on Dockery. And then the last thing that I wanted to share with you is that my colleague Matthew and I will actually be at the California Parks and Recreation Society District 7. We're hosting an event. We're board members on that event, on that committee. And so we're hosting a summer leaders workshop this coming weekend, and Matthew and I will be training recreation leaders on just teaching them new and fun, innovative games that share inclusiveness and just teach rec leaders how to use the equipment that they already have and are ready to go for their summer programming. So that's all I have.
Quick question.
Yes.
The cooling center, speaking of 105, is the cooling center going to be available starting next week? I know the city was working on that in case the temperatures hit 105.
I will refer that to our interim city manager.
Yeah, the police chief and Liz and I are all working on that, and we will be making an announcement on that. Right now, we're looking at hopefully hosting it at the police department. There are some concerns with scheduling because that room is sometimes booked, but we'll get it going one way or the other.
So just an update from here, I attended the Selma Healthcare District meeting last night, and the director was talking about the stove being hooked up for snacks, but also the swim was approved last night, $10,000 in funding for the Selma High School. So we're gonna have community swim, but also 18,000 in funding was approved for the church. So the Christian Cafe, for a new HVAC system. So it's going to make it cool. It's also going to be able to function as a cooling center. So hopefully they can coordinate that with the city. We have a church representative here tonight, and I think that will help augment the city's efforts in terms of having a cooling center. Thank you. And then just so everybody sees this, so we tell you what's going on. The departmental reports have been moved up after oral communications, so that staff who has a report and doesn't have anything else to do for the rest of the evening in terms of giving a report can just go home. So with that, what we're going to do now is take a 5-minute break. So you folks who might have business with any of our department heads or folks here can talk with them, and then we'll resume our meeting. And the folks
Before
who
we
don't
break,
have a
I
report.
have a couple of
go.
questions. I know the office assistant position, that came off already, and there's a community services director. Is there any way, like when we have meetings, can you guys please notify us what's going on with that stuff?
So those items are actually sent out on tidbits. However, that is one that I can let you inform you of the recruitments during this time as well.
Okay, thank you.
Great. With that, we'll take a 5-minute
No.
break and reconvene. Okay, no 5-minute break then until council member's done.
I know Director Han.
Okay, we'll take a 5. I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Well, because they're gonna leave, remember? See, I told you it was a bad idea, but he didn't believe me. I know Director Han's not here, but what's happening with Schaefer Park? Is Musco still going, or what's going on with that? Does anybody know, or?
She has answered. She has an answer. Don't worry. She has an answer.
Might have an answer. I was I was speaking with Public Works Supervisor Ulysses when he was on the phone with Musco earlier, and so the last conversation that we had with Musco this afternoon was that he's currently going to be drafting up the conceptual design for it, and so he said that usually takes him a couple weeks, and so he should be able to give us an official quote within the next few weeks. So I asked him a timeline. He said maybe 2 to 3 weeks. So I'm really hoping that we should have something by the beginning of the fiscal.
Also, is there any way that when Director Hunt can't be here, Ulysses should be here to give the reports? I mean, that's just my,
Director Han will be here. He may be on virtually now, but he will be attending virtually.
I understand it, but when there's times that somebody can't make it, somebody should be able to step up and give that report, because, you know, the lights are important, and if he's not here, then we just look at each other like,
Just waiting for the plans to
It's a huge
come in
topic.
with
Yeah,
the
definitely.
pricing.
anyways, thank
So
you.
it's going. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We're ready?
Now we can take.
Yeah, we'll take a 5-minute break. And we're going to move on to our special presentation tonight, which is for the canine dog satin.
Mr. Mayor and members of the council and members of the public, I apologize. We had a scheduling conflict with Canine Handler High. We did not see pre-scheduled vacation, but he is on his normal days off and had plans on his normal days off. So for that, I apologize. I just figured he's not on vacation, he's coming to work. So that is all my fault. So I apologize. We'll work on getting him into the next council meeting.
All right, thank you for that.
My
Pete.
apologies
We'll move
again.
on. Now we'll move on to the consent calendar. All items listed under the consent calendar category are considered routine. The complete consent calendar will be enacted by one motion by roll call vote. For purposes of discussion, any council member may have an item removed from the consent calendar and made part of the regular agenda. The council can then approve the remainder of the consent calendar. Does any council member have an item they would like removed from the consent calendar tonight?
Yes, I do. I want to remove 3-5 check register.
Is there a motion to approve items 3.1 through 3.4?
Make a motion.
Is there a second? Call the roll, please.
Yes.
Councilmember Trujillo. Councilmember Oseguera.
Yes.
Mayor Robertson.
Yes. Item 3.5, Councilman Avalos.
Yes, I want to pull this particular item. It draws my attention. It's 86816. County Clerk Register Voters Election 2024. I didn't get, I got a hole punched out. It's over $9,000. Do you have the exact number on that dollar amount? That's 816.
So the amount for the that one was for the 2024 elections. The total amount is $9,120.77.
Was it 9,127?
9,120.77. That actually includes it is a total of 4 different invoices that were processed on that warrant.
Invoices?
Correct.
The reason why I'm asking that question is, these invoices you're talking about, I've never seen this before, the elections. That's why I'm questioning.
What's it for?
So it's for the 2024 elections. We consolidate with Fresno County. So Fresno does charge a fee for that. And these 4 invoices are a fee for those elections.
But this is just to run the 2024 election
Correct.
for them to put our races on their ballot.
Correct. Because we do consolidate with Fresno County. Had we done a standalone, then those fees would be, of course, ours. But because we do consolidate with them, we are required to pay a certain amount.
Do they charge us for the polling place as well, renting that out? Is that included in their operating costs?
So the 4 invoices were actually, it is each district. And then there is one for the publication of the City of Selma term limits. So not necessarily the location, but it's for everything on the ballot.
But it's not for a recount. It's not for any kind of anything else that has to do with the election other than just the election itself
Just the election
on
itself.
November 5th.
Correct.
Any other questions?
Well, basically, that's the cost to hold the election in Selma, total, right? I've never seen this before. That's why I pulled it. I have another item. The other item is 86825 Government Job Company, which was $12,000, $800 and 95 cents. Well, now
So that right there is
is
NeoGov e-forms and perform payment. So that's the first payment. We were approved for the contract to add. Again, it's e-forms and perform, which is essentially an evaluation module to our current government.
so this over $12,000. This Is it a annual thing or is it,
So this is the first of three. And then once that, again, it's the first of three and then it's ours.
okay. Now, when we put this, I'm just trying to figure this on this issue here. So basically, you can't, well, this company, government jobs, they go out and research the, but how often you been using this? Let me ask that question.
So the
I've never
contract,
seen this before. That's why I asked that question.
so e-forms and perform is actually brand new on the warrant register. That is correct. However, government jobs or NeoGov is not. It's been on the warrant register several times. The contract itself was actually approved prior to me being employed here. So I believe it was in 2022 when the contract was actually agreed upon. So when I came in 23 is when I assumed the role of implementation.
The other question, in the past, did the council approve this?
Correct. Again, that was in 2022. I was not here in that time
Oh, no,
with the amount.
I,
but it
that's why,
was-
I
Correct.
asked
it
that
was-
question.
That was approved, yes.
So the other question, I'm gonna ask you another number three question, since I got you there. How, how often do you use this? Let me ask that quick. Is it, how important is it use this? Can we eliminate this
No.
and bring it back?
No. And so why I say that is because right now what we have, our system is essentially, so NeoGov is one to where there are several different modules that we have purchased. eForms and Perform is one, it's an evaluation module. We currently have everything done papers, like with paper. And the tracking on that is, it's difficult. It really is. And one of the things, not only does, if we have late evaluations, that also impacts if someone has a salary adjustment, then we have retro. There's a domino effect to that. So this allows us to track it electronically, but also provide the evaluations directly to the supervisors, that everything can be done online. Not only that, is that eForms is one to where we do not have, again, everything is done, via paper. And that is something that will be eliminated. So if we are able to save on the cost of printing, then that actually helps the cost of the module itself. But eForms is one to where we're going to have available to all of our employees, to where, for example, let's say that they need an FMLA paperwork. We can go online and we can say on the eForms site, it's available to you. If there's the personnel rules, they can go online and they can access it. We are going to implement all of our forms that are available to employees will be in a one-stop shop place, because that is not available right now.
Okay,
It's a very important module for employees.
so you use it basically as, well, okay, I understand now, okay. Hey, any questions from my colleagues?
I do.
I have a
Related
couple.
question, increased
Oh.
productivity. So how much productivity, how many hours will be eliminated by using the Perform software instead of actually having an HR professional provide that paperwork, get that paperwork, file that paperwork, and monitor that paperwork?
So I don't anticipate actual like elimination of hours, because we're still going to have to track it. We're still going to have to send them out, that type of thing. However, what I do anticipate is there's more efficiency in receiving them. Because right now we do have, we send out notices, this is delinquent. So now we're having, like now you're 2 weeks behind. I anticipate this will deliver more efficiency, and the evaluations will be processed and more timely, and any type of rate increase will be processed more timely, to where there's no retro adjustments, which is more time for our payroll technician. So I do believe it'll be one to where it's more efficient all the way around, not necessarily decreasing time, but it'll be more efficient.
Because I think you've heard our council, we're really looking at saving with the tough economic times that are on the horizon. We want to save as much terms of finance and cash flow is king, and we want to make sure that we save those resources. So we're looking to save in as many areas as possible. So when Councilman Avalos sees this large bill here, or larger bill for software, I share in his concern. in terms of making sure that there are some corresponding matches in productivity and efficiency, which you're indicating there certainly are, and more so. But I think we're always looking at it. I think that's why we're asking those questions.
Definitely, and I appreciate that.
Thank you.
I have one.
I'm not done yet.
Oh, you're not? Sorry. Go ahead.
You should know me by now. No, I'm done with you. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Okay. Check register 86848. Okay. I just want to make it clear here. Robertson's have financial accounting, services here for $5,050. Are this accounting bookkeeping, Robertson, is it done?
So we're
No more?
almost there. So yes, so now we're fully staffed in finance. So these are just bills that are behind that we need to catch up on. So therefore, we only have a few more to go, but not as big. There's only a few hours left for the senior accountant.
I want to make sure. Okay.
And I would like to add that when the final does come in, because I'm the one who processes those, I actually put on there on the last one, I did put final invoice. So I believe there's 3 more invoices. They are fully staffed, but unfortunately the invoices are a little bit behind in being processed. But when the last one is processed, it will say Robert Half final invoice on there.
Oh, okay. All right. See, I guess I wasn't done with you after all, right? There is another one too here. Okay, one more. Check number 86902. Surveillance, full service protection agreement. That's on the, Rudy, that's the cameras, right?
Mr. Evans, yes, that's a portion of some of our cameras. So it's kind of broken down based on when they were installed. So, bulk of our cameras were installed at one point, and then other cameras were added to the program, and that's why it's broken down to different bills.
Oh, okay, because I know it's 5,200.
Yes, sir.
That's why I asked that
But
question.
I couldn't tell you exactly which cameras they were. We have
Oh, okay.
a ton.
But let me ask you the next question already. On those camera surveillances, we have them throughout the area. I've seen your cameras.
Great.
Now, are we connected? How about these cameras here? Are they part of the deal too? And this 5,000 agreement here?
No, I don't believe these cameras are part of that. These are brand new. I think they just got installed within the last couple of years.
Oh, okay. I may.
These cameras, don't quote, I'm not exactly sure, but they may be are at the police department and some of our buildings, which is why the bill is not as steep as our city program.
Is that the ones I see in your station on the screen? That the ones, right, Rudy?
So the ones you see on the screen are all of our cameras.
Yeah.
All the cameras that are public viewing cameras. And then some of our internal cameras within our facility. So like we monitor our jail. So that is not a public viewing calendar, but it is one that we monitor. So there's also cameras at some of our building facilities, like Public Works, the police department, our parks, things of that nature. And then we have cameras that are out in public roadways.
Okay. I have another question.
Yes, sir.
Don't worry. Next check register, 868530, the JB Communication uplifting, one of your vehicles.
Yeah, that's
$5,000.
Yeah, that's the upfitting of the vehicle to put lights and sirens on it. And one of our unmarked,
Oh,
like
okay.
our investigative vehicles.
Oh, okay. That's all right.
That's why it's so low.
Okay. That's okay. That explains it. Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right. All right, colleagues.
Okay, I have one. 86882, and it shows here for HPS Mechanic Inc. And that's the Clarkson Lift Station. And this is in the amount of 109,952.50. I just have a question. Is this coming out of the general fund?
Right, this is for the Clarkson lift station, so the HPS would be a progress payment for their construction work. And that is budgeted towards the ARPA fund.
Right.
And so any of those payments should be coming out of the ARPA fund that was obligated for that
Okay.
work.
Yeah, that's why I'm asking, because I know when we had our budget meeting, you stated that it was coming out of the ARPA fund. So would this have like a G next to it to say it was a grant?
About that, maybe the finance director.
Hmm.
I mean, it theoretically could. ARPA was one-time funds, whether
Right.
they're considered a grant or not. I don't know if they were classified as a grant. So
Oh.
that's why it's not listed that way. But we can have that discussion about adding ARPA or something next to it if we need to.
And I have just one more, check number 86817 for Dawson Malden. And that's for the Amberwood project in the amount of 126,627. Now, I just wanted to confirm, is that for the grading? Is that all project done, or are we still? What's the update on that?
Sure, no, it's not complete. The work that would be is to continue putting the sewer line in. So it's a progress payment for their contract. A quick project status is that they've finished the installation of the sewer pipe in Floral Avenue and have continued working with paving that roadway to where it can be opened, or it can now be closed for the Lennar development. And the project is beginning to work on the jack and bore underneath the railroad at Saginaw.
Mhm.
So we've been getting updates and providing updates to SKF and actually the Lennar team that's asking for updates. Rail Pros and Kinder Morgan both require access permits for that site because of the railroad. So the contractor will be potholing some of those utilities either this week or next week to follow within that permit. Once those pothole work is done, then they'll be able to start the jack and bore.
Okay, and then that's coming from what fund?
That now, and the finance director can correct me, but the Amberwood project is for the bond
The bond.
financing.
Okay.
Correct. Fund 461.
Okay, so should that have a B next to it? For bond?
Yeah, we can.
Thank you.
Okay, I have a couple questions. So the Salazar playground equipment, was that a grant? Or was that general fund?
I believe that was a grant. I believe that was Prop 68.
Think let's start on our check register. We're kind of missing the Gs and Bs, and I think the reason we like that is just we see it's not coming out of the general fund. We see it's it's being provided somewhere else. So that's really helpful. My final question for Engineer Horn, City Engineer Horn, how much of the Yamabe and Horn detail, how much of that will be reimbursed? Do you have how much of that is reimbursed through like, permit fees and things like that?
Sure, just 1 second, I can pull
Sure.
that up.
Thank you.
And our summary is actually included in the sheets that are in that group.
I see the detail. I just don't see the percentage that's reimbursed.
Sure.
And I thank you for all that detail too. It's been very eye-opening and a lot of good detail to see because it's a huge bill every month and it's good for citizens to see this.
Can witness an engineer doing some calculations.
That's not the first time probably.
Based on the, excuse me, based on the information on the detail, there's two sections that are considered reimbursed through other funds. So that first section, totaling $103,000, that's for tax money, CDBG money, grant money, not general fund money. And then the third section that we include in our summary is more of the plan check services. And so those plan check services are intended to be reimbursed through fees that you collect from developers. And that fee is totaling around 14,000.
Okay.
So the total for that month would be 79.6% of our bill would be reimbursed by other funds.
Is there any way we could have for us non-engineers to see like the reimbursed percentage
Certainly.
before you do your summary? Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Anybody else with a question on the check register? Anybody from the public with a question on the check register? Anybody online or on the phone with a question about the check register?
Mayor, see no hands raised at this time.
Is there a motion to approve item 3.5?
I'll make a motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Call the roll, please.
Councilmember Avalos,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Guerra,
Yes.
Councilmember Oseguera,
Yes.
Councilmember Trujillo,
Yes.
Mayor Robertson.
Yes. Moving on to item 4, which is public hearings. This is our one and only public hearing tonight, AB 2561, vacancy and recruitment retention efforts. Director Venegas.
You can see that David was here, had to move this down quite a bit. Good evening, Mayor, council members. We have the AB 2561 vacancy rates public hearing. Our slideshow. So the first thing is, what is AB 2561? AB 2561 is a state law that requires cities to report vacancy rates annually for full-time positions to adopt transparency. AB 2561 was effective as of January 1st, 2025. It aims to improve public accountability and workforce planning by identifying trends and challenges in local government staffing. All bargaining units have been notified of this public hearing as they are able to provide input. Next slide. So the data compiled in this report is as of May 23rd, 2025. There's one bargaining unit vacancy rate that is above 20%, and that's the Closia mid-management, which is at 23.08%. There's one position which is in that bargaining unit that is funded by the Fresno County Rural Transit, or FCRTA, and the city was instructed not to recruit for that position, as that position will be eliminated in this next fiscal year budget. Should that position be removed, the vacancy rate would be 16.67%, which is below the 20% requirement. So for the whole entire city, you're going to see that there are 167 budgeted positions for this fiscal year. There are 19 vacancies with a vacancy rate of 11.38%. The unrepresented employees is at 50%. However, it is important to note that the executive assistant to the city manager position is one that will not be funded in this next fiscal year. Should that one be removed, the vacancy rate would be at 0%. There are currently several candidates in various stages of the background processes, and we have several recruitments in process as well. Of the 19 vacant positions identified on this slide, there are 6 of them that will not be funded in this next fiscal year, 25-26. Transit has 3 transit mechanics, which is part of Closia, that they have they have informed us that they will not be funding. We have 1 transit maintenance manager in Closia mid-management that FCRTA will not be funding. The executive assistant, which is an unrepresented employee, which will not be funded, and the 1 animal services director, which would not be funded as well. We have 2 candidates that are in various stages of the background process. One of them is in the Closia bargaining unit, and one is in the Closia mid-management bargaining unit. We also have 1 candidate that will be starting on June 16th. There are 4 positions that we have current recruitments in process, And there are 6 vacant positions that the recruitments will happen after July 1st. You will see that we have the recruitment activity cycle. Filling vacancies and recruiting top talent are critical to delivering core services to the community and carrying out council's priorities. In the graphic on the left of the screen, you'll see the typical recruitment requirement spans over several phases. While these are average timelines, we are working to streamline these steps to accelerate hiring without compromising quality. This fiscal year, which is through May 23rd, 2025, we've reviewed over 5,300 applications. I'm sorry, it's the the correct number is 5,335 applications. And that one was from July 1st, 2024 through May 23rd, 2025, and onboarded 69 new hires. We've also supported 8 internal promotions or reclassifications, highlighting our commitment to internal growth. These metrics show both the scale of our recruitment efforts and the interest we're receiving from candidates. For comparison purposes, Tulare is a little less than 3 times our population. However, you'll see that they have, because Tulare is actually 71,000 is their population. They have currently held 40 recruitments with far less applications received. And this data is good as of 4/15/2025. So you'll see compared to Tulare, which is again 3 times as large as us, we are on scale with them. We have 38 recruitments, and ours was through May 23rd, whereas they had 40 and theirs was through April 15th. Next slide. So this slide contains some of our recent recruitment and retention efforts. We completed a compensation study in 2024 to align salaries with market standards. We've implemented the first year of salary adjustments across all departments. This positions the city to remain competitive in the labor market. It helps us retain valued employees and attract higher caliber candidates. We transitioned to a self-funded health benefits model in 2024. This change has allowed us to offer benefit packages that are competitive with peer agencies, supporting both employee retention and recruitment. We've invested in the process improvements from recruitment marketing to onboarding. Our areas of focus include marketing strategies, the application and interview experience, onboarding procedures, and strengthening our employer brand to enhance the overall candidate experience. We've also prioritized training, employee development, and succession planning to grow talent from within. We are enhancing our efforts to support employee growth through targeted training programs and resources for both new and existing staff. Additionally, we are developing clear career pathways and succession plans to cultivate internal talent, ensuring future leadership and long-term organizational stability. Ultimately, our goal is to build a resilient and high-performing workforce that reflects the city's mission and values. Next one. So the next steps, this is like probably the shortest public hearing you've ever had. So we have questions and then of course to open up the public hearing.
Thank you.
I
Any
have a
questions, Mr.
question.
Director?
This information that you received from Tulare, how did you get it?
So it went to council on April, actually I believe it was May 6th is when it went, but the data was good as of April 15th. So it is public record.
So they had a program just like this one, and you watched that and you took that data from that public meeting.
I not only watched it, but I'm also really well, I know the people there, so they sent me their slideshow in order to do some comparisons.
Nice job. With that, we'll open the public hearing to the public. Does any member of the public have any questions about this hearing item tonight?
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Council. My name is Mike Cosenza. I represent 2 of your bargaining units. I'd just like to thank you for the opportunity to provide some input here on your recruitments. The city has experienced obviously some bumps in the road lately. However, I think that you now have an administration and a staff that has the experience and talent to keep this ship kind of upright and moving forward. as the representative of the employees and talking to the employees, they're seeing a turnaround in how the city is being done, and they are a little more confident in coming to work now, and they're seeing some changes, and they appreciate the work that you guys do. We're confident that you guys will continue to do good things. Um, and I will tell you this, Director Venegas is always and never shy about texting me at 8 o'clock at night when she's on her way home on issues that that need to be done. And I appreciate that as a labor professional. Sometimes having that information before you go into the work the next day and being prepared to do the work, it helps. But the turnaround, I kind of text her late at night too. So we have a good relationship, and I'd like to, make sure we keep that going. And like I said, your staff is doing a tremendous job, and we appreciate that. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Appreciate that. Anybody else with any input? This public hearing? Anybody online or on the phone with input at this point?
No hands raised at this time, Mayor.
Thank you. With that, we'll bring the public hearing back. We'll close the public hearing and refer the matter back to council. Does council have any questions for Director Venegas or anything involving this public hearing tonight?
Is there any way we can get a list of the vacancies, all the vacancies that you have?
Yes, that's something that I can provide to you in an email afterwards.
Okay. And also, how does let's say, how wages and recruitment compared to cities our size, like Reedley, maybe, Sanger?
So with the compensation and classification study that we recently did, Sanger and I believe Reedley are part of the comparables because there are 13. With that, we have implemented the first year of the classification study to get all of the employees to the 60th percentile, which is what council had recommended. And there are majority of our employees that are above that, which we are striving to maintain that 60th percent. So are where we need to be with the classification within the next 2 years, because there is implementation of that classification and compensation over a 3-year period. We are striving to get there, and we anticipate getting there within the next 3 years, or I'm sorry, within the next 2. First year has already been implemented.
Yeah, and the reason I'm saying is because a lot of times when we go to functions, the first thing they tell us, man, you guys pay pretty good in Selma. And I'm like, yeah, we do, but I mean, I don't know, some of the positions, I don't know if we can keep, like city manager position, for example. Our city manager is the highest paid around here anywhere. And some people have been in there for years and they don't even get that much, So maybe we need to look at that, and if we're gonna make them comparable, we need to make them comparable, because, I mean, it'd be nice to pay that kind of money, but if we don't have it, then.
Study as far as.
Well, I mean, we had to compare apples to apples. I mean, Sanger and Reedley, Dainuba has 26,000. And the city manager there, he goes, man, you pay pretty good, huh? I said, why, you looking for a job?
Maybe. Compensation study though, 13 cities, I'd love to see it dial down a little bit to cities closer to us. Even Fowler and Kingsburg, and Reedley and Sanger, the comparably populated cities, maybe Parlier, just to get it, get it more accurate, in my opinion. I think we're getting there, but we need to do more, and I think we need to get closer to it, especially given what I said earlier. We got to be careful with the general fund. The general fund last 3 years has shown a declining balance. It's still a positive balance, as one of the council members said, but it is a declining balance. So I think we want to stop that. And I think we also talked about with our finance director, which we have one now after 2 years, which is really positive. It's awesome. But I think to utilize our finance director, Moreno's great wisdom, talent, and experience to the fullest, I think we need to look at strategies for perhaps increasing our reserve, just so that we're ready in the event of an economic downturn, that we don't have to lay off people, and that we have enough. I think we have enough right now for a couple months, 3 months. I'd like to have more. I'd like to have a better rainy day fund, and I hope we can address that in the future.
So to be clear, we have 13 comparable cities. So are you asking to have those brought back and to reduce them, or what are you asking?
Gosh,
of
no,
us right
because
now?
that's additional money. No, we have our compensation study right now. That is an ordeal to go through that. But what I'm saying is the next compensation study that the council directs to do, I think we can change the scope of it, and we can perhaps change the vendor who provides it, or maybe the city can do it in-house with all the wealth of talent financially and from an HR perspective. Maybe the city doesn't have to go out this time to not that they were expensive, but they did cost some money for the third-party vendor. Maybe our city could take that after 2 salary studies. The city could look at that, take what's good, discard what's not, and do it by, with the city resources.
Okay.
In-house, I should say.
In-house.
Good.
Something?
Oh, no, you're right. We don't need to spend any money to do this study. All you do is,
We've done it twice. Yeah, I mean,
yeah, all you
we
do
got a
is
lot of
reach
talent
out
there.
to other cities and, hey, they'll tell you honestly.
Yeah.
How much they're making, Clovis, whatever, Fresno, whatever, they'll share the information. It's no,
Public records.
cost effective.
With that, any other comments from council before we close this item and move on to our next item tonight? With that, we will close this item. Is there a vote to be taken tonight on this, or is this informational only at this time?
Really just an informational item.
Great, thank you. And thank you for your presentation tonight, Director. The next item is our first new business item of regular business item on the agenda, which is an action item, and it is the city manager recruitment, which we just touched on.
Mike was here. So the item you have before you, it is an action item, so it's one to where we're requesting, staff recommends city council review and discuss the recruitment options for the city manager vacancy and provide direction to staff on the preferred method for moving forward. There were 3 items or 3 options that were provided to you for the city manager recruitment. The first option is an in-house recruitment process, which would be one to where HR would conduct the full recruitment process, including advertising, candidate screening, interviews, and background checks. With that, it is one to where, of course, council would have, we would do all of the interviews with the timeline that, is preferable to council. So that's one that we would definitely work on. That one is cost effective because it is in-house. There would be minimal cost because it's advertising and background check information. The second option is the use of an executive recruitment firm. This would engage a professional executive search firm specializing in municipal leadership to manage the recruitment. The pros is that it's access to a national pool. You have expertise in the high-level government recruitment. It reduces the workload of staff. Oh, well, I guess I didn't print my second page. So I'm going to go off memory. So it is one to where with that, it can be anywhere from 25,000 up to 50,000. We just really don't know. It depends on the scope. Those are ones to where it depends also, thank you. It also depends on what executive firm is approached, because we would have to do an RFP. It's one to where it would go out, and whoever receive, let's say we received 5 different, then we would establish a committee to review those, and then we would bring back our recommendation to you. And of course, option 3 is an internal promotion. You could promote a qualified internal candidate. With that, the pros is that we have continuity in leadership. There's an internal candidate who's familiar with all city operations. The cons of that is you may overlook a broader talent pool. It could create internal staff shifts or morale concerns. The estimated cost, there would be no cost because the full recruitment cost would be deferred. Additional time considerations, the timeline. Should you choose an executive recruitment, it can take anywhere from 3 to 5 months from start to appointment. And then also community engagement. During the process, you could consider having stakeholders or a community panel. We could have a community panel and a technical panel. There's different items that we could have. And also confidentiality versus transparency. The executive searches often balance the public transparency with candidate privacy during the early screenings. What that means is that during early on, you're not necessarily knowing who are involved in the process. You would know about them when they are, let's say the top 5 are recommended to you. Whereas let's say earlier you could know that, oh, there's 15, but you would not necessarily know who those 15 are because there's still the confidentiality that we have to adhere to. So depending on the options that's selected, the fiscal impact could range anywhere from $5,000, which would be an in-house, and that's just an estimate, upwards to $50,000, and that's the higher end of the executive firm. But that fund would actually come from the general fund, which a general fund item would have to be identified at a later date. If council selects an executive recruiter, staff will return with a professional services agreement. So staff is looking for direction.
Thank you. With that, we'll bring the matter back to council. Does council have any discussion at this time?
Yeah, I'd just like to mention that in-house would be great. The only thing is that I've noticed around here, around the cities around here, there's been a lot of recycling. People go from one city to the next, to the next. There's no fresh blood, no fresh people out there, you know. So that's just my opinion.
Thank you. Any other comments? I'm looking at this, and we can just keep chiming in and then we'll open it to the public. Just looking at this, I've seen it done different ways in 13 years on council, seen some city managers come and go. And, the executive recruitment, I've seen that as well. It can be good. I don't know if it's really, applicable in this case, since we have council members who are pretty well seasoned, experienced, know the people who are around, have been on committees. You know, when you use an executive recruitment firm, their reach can be pretty broad. And as Councilman Oseguera was talking about, they can find some people that are out of state. They can find some of that fresh look that Councilman Oseguera is talking about. At the same time, you know, it takes a while, they're expensive, and it doesn't always, you don't always get a great return on your investment in terms of who is recruited. So, and just talking about the costs that we've been talking about tonight and being good stewards and fiduciaries of the public money, you know, I think that number 3 could be a subset of the number 1, the in-house, because we can always, the in-house people can look at making an internal promotion as well, and will do that from a council, I'm sure. So that's kind of the way I'm leaning at this moment. We'll also have a closed session item on this tonight. City attorney, what is the difference here between the open session and the closed session item addressing this? Which would be more of a specific, turn on your microphone, city attorney. Your mic. There you go. So that would be, there you go, green light. So you're saying anything that might be of a sensitive employment nature could be discussed in closed session should not be discussed out here?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Because I'll be, in the past, been on the council, we interview people in closed session. And the reason why we did that, we protect their privacy. Because there's some question we might be asking that, how would I say it? They don't want other people to know, or and that's in-house private,
They might be
closed
working
session.
for another city too. They
Yeah.
don't want that.
Yeah. And then we brought people from out, other states come in, down south, up north. And we did, it didn't take much to actually talk to individuals. They gave us their bio and everything, and we asked the questions, and then we started paring down. You're not going to get a whole lot of how would I say it? applicants, because I see through the state of California, there's a lot of applicants for management right
There are a
now.
lot of openings for city managers right now
And
too.
city manager, yeah, there's still a lot of applicants. I mean,
More demand than supply. Does council have a preference in terms of how they want to interview? Some councils don't want people to Zoom in or call in because you can't see them
yeah, you
in
don't want
person.
interruption.
Does council want them in person? Can we stipulate that in terms of the the interview process?
Good, yeah.
You have to come in person.
And that, it's a matter of how you craft your advertisement, your RFP, whatever route you take.
You want to put that in the advertisement in person only, if that's our requirement?
I would, yeah, yeah,
The other issue too-
That
absolutely.
may limit people coming from the East Coast because it would be expensive. And would the city have to pay for that? If someone came out and made it to the next level, that's on the applicant, right? All travel costs. Should that be noted in the advertisement as well?
It is sometimes
It's just
paid
understood.
for by the city. Typically, they will note that in the advertisement if it is. And you're correct. If you use Zoom, you let them zoom in, you're gonna get people from all over the country. And it's,
Mayor Robertson, may I suggest one item that we do for other recruitments as well is, let's say that the first round, because you usually have multiple rounds. Your first round, allow the Zoom. Should they proceed to the secondary, it requires them to be in person. So that is an option, and it's one to where if there is someone that is outside the area and they are really interested, then they know the first one is available to be Zoom. But should they make it to the second or third, depending on how many we have, they are required to be in person.
Then the invitation, still the city would not necessarily be obligated to pay those travel costs.
Correct, not
Okay.
required.
it would not, no.
More skin in the game, the better, probably. Show that motivation. Does public have any comments on how we want to select the next city manager? Come on up.
Teresa Salas. We just got through with personnel talking about all the recruitments that they have done in this past year. 40 recruitments is a lot, or 38 recruitments is a lot. I know because I did human resources when I worked here. And one recruitment is screening applications, doing maybe testing, interviewing, setting up interview panels and things. And so a position this important, I think having a professional recruiter do it gives the attention that that recruitment needs. Not to say that our in-house couldn't do it, but with everything else that they're tied up doing, regular recruitments, employee benefit administration and all that that's covered by human resources, giving it to a professional. And because all the recruitment costs are probably included in that RFP, advertising and all that stuff, it's less that we would have to pay. Actually, if we do it in-house and then we have to pay for advertising and we have to pay for newspaper ads or whatever, if it's all included with that professional group, then it's just this, we know this is what the cost is going to be. And they have that option of getting it out a little bit further than just the valley or just, you know what I mean, maybe on the West Coast or that kind of thing, to where we would have a bigger pool of people that might be interested in applying because they're seeing it rather than us putting it in the local papers. And then somebody in Los Angeles who might be a good candidate doesn't see that because it's not advertised in those circles. So like I said, I think that having a professional do it, and then at that point where you can decide at what point you want to start meeting the candidates, the first go round, the second go round, the third go round, you can make that part of your RFP that, you know, when you're down to 10 candidates or 20 candidates or whatever, at that point you can say that that's when you want to start jumping into the process yourself.
Thank you.
Del Ramirez, Selma, California. I would like to see outhouse, not only in-house, but also open it up to outhouse. So that way we have, like Councilman Osigeta said, we have a variety, we have more people applying. As far as hiring somebody, I don't agree with that because believe me, I've done it. I've done the hiring part of it where I opened it up and there'd be up to maybe 25, 30 people applying for a position. So what I did was I screened them accordingly to a list that I had, experience, skills, all of that. And I narrowed it all down to where I had maybe about 5. Once I got that 5, then I kept, I went ahead and set up the appointments for interviewing. I did that. I got a couple of people to, the panel to interview. So we decided who we would hire. So it is doable and we would save a lot of money. How long would it possibly take to screen? It took me maybe about, I want to say about maybe a day and a half. And it's a long time, it is, because you got to screen every single applicant, but it's doable. So I think that would save a ton of money. That's just my thought on that. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else with a comment?
See, Janie was here. So
We didn't have the engineer's report before you.
my comment is this board typically only hires 2 people, the city manager and the city attorney. And this is not where I would try to save every nickel. However, there is a hybrid way you could go about this. There are several retired HR professionals in the area, retired HR directors who do this kind of work, who are sensitive to hiring employees in this area. And that's what you want. You want somebody who's going to have a vested interest in Selma. While there may be somebody really good in Norman, Oklahoma, is that person going to have the same interest in Selma, California? On paper, everybody looks great. I can make you a resume tomorrow, make you want to hire me, but when the rubber meets the road, is that what you're really banking on? Ability to make the RFP your own is really that's going to be your guys' job. You guys should sit down and say what specifically are the challenges that the city of Selma is experiencing. Where do you want to see the city of Selma tomorrow, and then craft the person you're looking for after the goals that you're trying to reach. And it's going to have to be somebody that knows. I mean, Mr. Kunkel can tell you he's sat in those seat in a couple different agencies. Every one of them is a little bit different, and so you have to be a jack of all trades and know a little bit about everything, and having somebody with a vested interest in this area is going to be paramount if you want to keep this thing moving in the right direction. Options for you.
Good advice. Thank you. Anybody else? Okay, we'll bring the matter back to council. We will have another whack at this tonight in closed session, but this is where we kind of decide or look at the broad outlines. Like I say, we have wisdom. I think we have experience. We can at least start the process ourselves, come up with the qualifications for a city manager. I agree with everybody we've heard. City manager is a crucial, or maybe even the crucial position in the city. And it is a city manager form of government. So that city manager is going to have to act as a bridge between the people's representative, us up here, run for office, represent our bosses, the people, and then the employees of the city who make the city happen, who absolutely make it go and are absolutely essential to the city and do a great job. It's an impossible position, but it's one that has to be filled, and we've got to find that correct person. We have a great interim city manager, but he's only got so many hours that he can serve. So there is a time consideration here with the executive recruitment. It can take a while. I've seen it. Executive recruitment companies have their kind of, for want of a better term, a stable of people that they bring to the different cities, and they kind of decide who's going to be the best for the city. I don't know if we want that. I think this council wants to have its own look at the potential talent pool and candidates out there. And I think we can advertise and cast a wide enough net, given the internet these days and given, the publications that are out there, it's pretty easy to take a look to reach a broad audience of potential candidates for city manager. So I think we could reach that person in Norman, and I think we could reach that person in Kingsburg or Fowler or the other cities, so nearby cities. And I think we could do a good job of it. One of the things I liked on this was the additional considerations. Thank you for that. The community engagement part, I think is dynamite. And I think it's so important to have community engagement. I think it's very important to have that as part of the city manager process. I leave it to council to come up, to whittle it down, to whittle the details down. I had just a potential idea on this as perhaps in terms of community engagement, when the council comes up with the final two or the final three, maybe we do what we did with the police chief search and just have an open house. And we could have it here and the public could come in and they could talk to the potential city manager candidates. Or the council could decide to go in another direction and have a panel or, go in that direction. Again, we have just a bit of a timeline here, but I definitely look forward to having that community, that community engagement component of the city manager search. Council, questions, input, comments?
No, it's, it's, finding see, I like to, well, I'm old school. I like to put it in-house and out-house, both, and you need both. Because, talents, you don't know until you look at the talents inside your house, in your group, how they're talented. Everybody has a skill set and areas. Some have skill sets in different areas and some have different areas. And some people on the outside come in and you have individuals inside together, they become a great fit, and but,
So council, do we have consensus to start with in-house
in-house,
and to do the interviews ourselves, and the application should go to the city manager
the manager?
and the HR director to vet, and actually not to vet, to show us. We want to interview. I mean, if you get 100 applications, of course, but we don't want to miss anybody. So we want to make sure that we see the applications that come in, and we're going to rely on you. I'll let you speak a second. We want to rely on you to come up with a description for the ad, potential publications where we can put that ad, and including internet publications. And we also want, we want to let them know that it's a good idea. The first one can be Zoom, but there is going to be an in-person component. You're not going to get the job as city manager by just Zooming in or calling in for the city manager position. In terms of the salary considerations too, we can discuss that in closed session tonight. We'll dial in that number a little more. But again, this position works really closely with council, so council chooses this, and we're going to be involved in this every step of the way, because this is, again, this is our bridge, the city manager to both administration, and we're the bridge to the people who elected us. So I think we're going to also, I don't think we could set a timeline on this tonight. We're going to try to do it as soon as possible. I would like, after pending tonight, to get started as soon as possible, have ads out there within a couple weeks, and then get responses within 4 weeks, and maybe be ready for our first interviews in 6 weeks. Is that too aggressive, or is that doable?
It is one to where I have to say that I have to talk to my internal team, which
Okay.
my team of one in this area.
Which
So-
is growing with the budget.
Yes. So with this one, we will have to look at the timeline because we have to do the creation of the flyer. That does take a little bit of time, but we can establish a timeline, which is normally what we do. We'll say we'll open here, we'll close here. Something with this, we typically would open within a 30-day period, unless you want, within a 45-day. Totally up to you. It's one to where, city manager and I can talk about that as
Okay.
well.
Okay.
It's typically a 30, but again, we can go 45 day. One thing I was going to say a little bit earlier
So we got.
is that you won't see every single application, only those that meet the minimum qualifications. So if it's one to where, like, let's say someone applied and they don't have the minimum, we have a current job description. Unfortunately, I didn't bring it with me, but let's say the minimum qualifications is a bachelor's or equivalent, but someone has a high school degree. They don't meet the minimum qualifications. So that is not one that would move forward to you.
But let's say they've been manager of Tombstone, Arizona for 5 years, then they would qualify because they have related experience, correct?
No, because it also.
And we have to set we have to be very careful about the standards we set as a council.
So we currently have a job description. So what I would definitely suggest is
Yeah, we
that
want to see it and
provide
edit it.
that to you.
Yep.
I can blind carbon copy all of you.
Mm.
And it's one to where, in order to avoid the Brown Act, it's one to where you can reply to me if there's any type of changes that you could possibly recommend.
How about
However,
in 2 weeks, can you bring it back and we'll have a closed session and we'll go through it? Can we have a closed session on employment of the city manager like we're doing
The
tonight?
session on for tonight, and you can approach it in multiple ways. You can put the advertisements in Western
Western
whatever that
states.
is, Western City Magazine. You can publish things through the
League of Cities.
League of Cities. You can identify people out there
ICMA.
that you're interested in and shoot them an RFP directly.
Okay.
And or just, wholesale RFP all of the various
I think the
city.
bottom line is in a couple of weeks, we want to be ready to get that RFP out. Can we do that? Okay. Then we can send it out.
Mr. Mayor, what I would recommend is, just like Janie said, is to send that to you, BCC, and then your comments, each of you, back, and then we can come up in 2 weeks. And let's say we have 3 different ways somebody has put the same thing, then we can bring it to council as a whole, and then you can decide which of those 3 you want as far as one item in there or whatever. But it would just make it go quicker, I think, and keep it flowing. If otherwise, if we just have to bring back.
We don't want to wait 2 weeks. Yeah, we want to do it right now. Yeah,
So,
we want to jump
yeah.
on it and we'll get your
So that's
comment.
what I would recommend that,
Sounds good.
because that'll make it a little bit quicker for us.
And then to have some potential publications for us too, where you guys are gonna go. Great. And then we gotta work on those standards too, because that's gonna be really important in terms of the applicant pool. Okay, great. Thank you for that. And this is a consensus item. This is not an action item, correct? Okay. Moving on to item 5.2. This is an action item. It's consideration and necessary action, resolution 2025-39, approving the preliminary engineer's report, declaring the intention to levy and collect the annual assessment for services rendered in the landscaping and lighting maintenance district number 1. It's called an LLMD, and providing notice of public hearing on the proposed assessments. City engineer.
Great. Good evening, Mayor, members of the council. Yes, this item relates to the landscape lighting maintenance district that was created here in the city of Selma in 1984. These are specific areas throughout the city for some subdivisions, landscaping, lighting, public improvements through those subdivisions that the city maintains, but collects assessments from the property owners annually to fund those maintenance items. So tonight, the resolution that we're requesting an approval on is approving the preliminary engineer's report, which is included in your packet, that we prepared according to the state requirements of the State Streets and Highway Act. All of the procedures and policies we have to follow come from the state law. Just as a quick executive summary, there's no changes to any of the LLMDs. There were no additional areas. And all of the assessments for each zone have actually been reduced from what was assessed last year. So in the report, you'll see information that our office has identified all the zones. We've identified all of the landscape areas, the areas that need replanting, all of the streetlights that are included in these LLMDs, the costs that we are estimating that it's going to take next fiscal year to continue maintaining these areas at the level required for when they were put in. Last year's assessments that were estimated and passed on through taxes were not all completely used throughout the year based on the date of the report. So there's funding available within the LLMD fund that we will continue using for maintenance. But based on the estimated maintenance for next year, that allows us to reduce the assessments for the different zones and still provide what we're estimating as a cost for maintenance. These different pieces include obviously maintaining the landscaping, but paying the PG&E bill for the lights, dealing with Cal Water, the cost for the actual water to sprinkler the landscaping areas. There's different incidental costs that go through maintaining this, through noticing, dealing with Fresno County assessments, paying for backflow preventer update from Cal Water as well. The last item required by state law is that with this intent to levy the properties of these assessments, we do need to hold a public hearing to allow all of the property owners a chance to come in and speak regarding the report. So we're proposing that we hold that public hearing on the city council meeting July 1st, and we will properly notice that hearing the required days beforehand. As I mentioned, each zone, all of the properties within that zone get assessed the same amount, but the different zones may get assessed different numbers, and that's based on how much landscaping or lighting is within that individual zone. That's you'll see exhibits and maps that you can see what each zone includes, but the parcels within that zone will all be assessed the same number. There's a table in the staff report and obviously in the report that shows what the proposed 2025, 2026 assessment rate would be based on our estimated costs. And like I said, each zone will actually be reduced. So those, if approved by council, those assessments will go to Fresno County tax collector, and they will update their tax assessment for each parcel moving forward. As far as fiscal impact, the way that we are preparing the report is that there's no impact to the general fund, that all of these revenue that comes through taxes goes into a very specific fund in the finance department. The costs that are expended out of that fund. Finance department provides a report to our office so that we can see what actual costs were made throughout the year. So with that, we are asking that you would approve this resolution so that we can stay on track to have our public hearing and then be able to provide those assessments to the county by August. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you for the good news. I remember one year we had a double in the rates and I actually voted against it one year because it's so darn expensive. And I know there's more to it than just dollars and cents increases and decreases. But my question is that because of the sensors that were added to the sprinkler, there's less water usage, or what's the reason for the decrease?
Yeah, so when we looked at what the actual costs have been compared to what we estimated last year, the electrical costs were pretty much right in line. The cost for water was in line. I think the biggest difference was the amount of staff time and labor that was able to be expended for the maintenance. And we're estimating costs for maintenance based on the level of maintenance that we, according to the state, feel is required for those zones. I know the Public Works Director has talked about potentially outsourcing that if there is a staffing issue that internal staff can't maintain it to that level, it may have to be outsourced. So our estimated costs are based on local costs that we look at of what would be a comparable cost for maintenance.
So that's the major difference, the actual maintenance cost.
I would also add that I think the reorganization of Public Works and how they've organized their staff into shifts that actually handle the LLMDs in a timely manner. You don't have deferred maintenance and you don't have huge jobs that you have to expend large amounts of staff time to fix. They are routinely going out and maintaining it, which reduces the overall cost of staff to repeatedly go out and maintain it. It becomes routine, it becomes well maintained, and you're able to spot problems out there that don't require huge fixes. So I want to give Public Works their kudos with their reorganization of staff out there, and it shows. If you go by the historical costs in terms of how Public Works was run, which was a basis for how these LLMDs were estimated in prior years, the reduction in cost is partially attributed to just being more efficient from a staff organizational standpoint.
This might be just a little off topic, but not too far. For the new Amberwood development, is there any preference as to whether we do a community facilities district or a landscape and lighting maintenance district?
So the preference of staff, and we've discussed this, I think in open session and with the developers so that they're aware, the community facilities district actually provide more flexibility in the amount of services you can provide. Landscape lighting maintenance district only is lighting, landscaping.
Maintenance.
That's really it, right? With a CFD, you can fund other services, storm drain maintenance, sewer maintenance, street maintenance, parks maintenance, and all of those type of things, so that you reduce the burden of the cost on the general fund, and the specialized facilities that are installed with the subdivision can then be financed and maintained by the residents that use them the most.
I think the roads now are going to be
The internal roads would
they're
be
going to be
part
the
of
city's.
yeah. Well, they'll be, all the roads would belong to the city, but the maintenance of those roads would be funded through the CFD. So it wouldn't be a general fund cost or an LTF funded or a CMAQ funded. For the most part, you could use those to supplement, but you
Will we
would
see it as part of this report every year, or will it be a
you would
separate?
see I think you would see either a corresponding report that would be more of a CFD report than the LLMD.
I think one other one has a Vineyard Estates. They have
Vineyard
something.
Estates, track 5217 Canales, I think is the only other subdivision that's in a CFD, CFD 2006-01. And we would basically be creating zones of that CFD for each individual subdivision for organizational.
Again, not
purposes.
to go too far off topic, but
All right, that's what I do.
no, I'm doing it. The CFD, does that is also an opportunity to charge the residents more because you can add more to the CFD? That's the only sticking point I see.
Correct. I mean, if the more services you add, in theory, the higher the cost.
Right.
This would be a disclosure issue as part of the purchase of each home. We would disclose what those assessments are. They would be part of either their mortgage or part of their tax bill, however they want to pay it. At the end of the day, it helps hold value in those subdivisions, the better maintained that they are. So if those subdivisions are going to be proposed and they're going to be nicer and they're going to have more amenities, there's got to be a way to fund those amenities for that subdivision. So really the question is when that subdivision comes in, what amenities are going to be funded? How much should be funded by the residents? How much should be funded through the general fund? If there's a community park that's accessible to the general public, a percentage of that would likely be funded through the CFD and then partially funded from the general fund because the public could go to that park. If it's a neighborhood park that's entrenched in the middle of the subdivision, hard to get to, a higher percentage of the local residents in that neighborhood should likely pay because there will be the higher percentage of users for that park. So it's an equity issue in terms of how it's funded and how the assessments are done. But at the end of the day, if you're getting amenities in your subdivision, the general fund shouldn't subsidize that cost.
All right. Any other comments? Anybody from the public with a comment about the LLMDs? Anybody on the phone or online? Thank you. With that, we'll bring the matter back to council. Is there a motion to approve this action item tonight?
I'll make a motion.
Is there a second? Call the roll, please.
Councilmember Avalos,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Guerra,
Yes.
Councilmember Oseguera,
Yes.
Councilmember Trujillo,
Yes.
Mayor Robertson.
Yes. And thank you for the decreases. Good, really good news. The next item is a action item. and its preliminary information for upcoming safe routes to school applications for funding through Fresno County Measure C.
Good evening again, Mayor, members of the council. This is an action item, but more of an action of direction and obviously providing information to the council. As mentioned in the last few meetings, Fresno COG is taking the lead to use some unused funds from Measure C and allowing those to be used for safe routes to school for the rural cities. And so we have in our staff report, it's just the draft of the guidelines for the applications. So I do want to let you know that until COG officially puts these out, they may change some of the guidelines, but these are draft guidelines, and our office and other city staff reviewed them and wanted to provide some information to you as the council. As far as we know, this is a one-time application for safe route to school grants that the cities can use. They anticipate putting the call for applications, which is the official letting all the cities know what the applications are, middle of July. So they haven't actually opened the call yet. So we have a little bit of time to discuss that with council, get some information from you as to what some potential projects might be so that we can be prepared. Currently, they're not requiring any local match for these funds. So it's not required, according to these guidelines, that the city puts up any of its own money. We can look at the application, and if we have other funding that maybe we can supplement, it might help us be more competitive in our projects, but there is no requirement that the city use any of its own money. And currently, it looks like middle of September is when the applications are going to be due. So we have from now until September to work on these applications and get those in. We've summarized some of the goals that we're getting from COG. It obviously relates to the school sites, the students that are walking, riding their bikes, as parents or anyone drops these students off. All of those activities are the priorities for this funding. So we need to be looking at areas within the city improvement, sidewalks, crosswalks, anything that the students are potentially going to be using. If there's areas that need to be improved, this is what Fresno COG and Measure C is looking to improve. The draft guidelines list how they are going to be scoring these applications. This is a pretty typical way. So you have that in your staff report. Obviously, it has to be within a proximity of a school. And the benefit for Selma is that pretty much all of Selma is within half a mile of any school. Exhibit that we included kind of gives you that indication. They want to prioritize pedestrian, bicycle, and visibility improvements. So that coincides with being able to improve crosswalks, any of the bike lanes, or helping students that may ride their bike to school. If we have opportunities to make those paths safer, that would be a priority. Readiness and schedule, they're looking for projects that aren't going to take a long time to try and come up with and use the money. They're trying to obviously use the money as quickly as possible to help improve safety quickly. As with most of these grants, we're going to recommend reaching out to the school district, providing surveys for parents, teachers, anybody we can in the community that can provide information as to maybe where their students might walk to school and where they feel is an unsafe area for them and their family. If we can provide some opportunity for surveys to get information from the community, that's an important part of this, and then also able to show Fresno COG that we're trying to do this according to what the community needs. So just as a preliminary process, there's an exhibit there that we've shown. We have looked at the local road safety plan, which uses traffic incidents from the last 5 years. It was adopted by the council as to areas and intersections that are need the most improvements in safety. So we've overlaid that with our map. obviously looked at all the school sites. And then we've also overlaid, using the GIS data, any sidewalk areas that are missing. So we have dirt areas that students might be walking on the dirt and not a sidewalk. Any curb ramps that may be not quite compliant or have elements of non-compliance. We used all of that information in the GIS map to overlay it and come up with some areas that maybe would be good candidates for these projects. So we've labeled those A through F or G. Some of them have to do with just intersections, like the project A is a very high priority safety intersection that we believe potentially it's Floral and Wright could improve the push button crossing, could improve the crosswalk striping, countdown timer. There's elements of that traffic signal that could definitely be improved to help safety. Similar, the intersection, project B, potentially just those curb ramps. There's two schools that are kind of adjacent to each other, really improving just that intersection with crosswalks and curb ramps. Just some of the other items, anywhere a crosswalk is crossing a street uncontrolled, like Rose Avenue south of Brettlinger. There's a couple of crosswalks there that the community south of Rose is trying to get to the school, Woodrow Wilson. So those crosswalks, potentially having curb bulb outs, improving the intersections, having flashing lights, there's potential for improvements. These are areas that staff has been looking at, and so I think this is an opportunity to try and apply for some funding to make that happen. And lastly, this project E down by Eric White, a lot of residents and children that are probably walking from the homes over to Eric White. What these applications are going to look at is what is the majority path of students as they leave their homes and kind of get to the quickest route to walk to school. That's what we're going to consider as the path of travel. And let's look at making that path as safe as possible and making improvements to allow them to either walk or ride their bikes safely. So that's a quick just update as to what Fresno COG is potentially bringing to you. These are projects that from our office and working with Deputy City Manager on other elements of the city with Public Works. These are potential projects, but if the council has any direction or advice, again, we're looking at applications potentially in July.
Got it. So I'm on the COG, and I've been a champion of this from the very, very start. To get safe routes to school, we need it ever since we had our fatalities in Selma. And every time this comes up, I bring up that lady right there, the grandmother. I never want to see this grandmother show up and cry and cry and cry about her granddaughter being hit. It breaks all of our hearts, and we don't want to see that again. And we can prevent it. And this is where we can prevent it. There's $6 million at the Council of Government has to award in the same way as the city engineer said, like an active transportation program grant based on point scoring. The big thing here is Clovis and Fresno bowed out of this. They're not going to take any of this money. They're not going to apply for it. So it's just us small cities and the unincorporated areas, the county areas, Fresno County. We're the ones competing for this pool of money. So really, we've got this. We just have to apply for it and apply intelligently and get it in the right areas. And we can get some good funding for this much, much needed goal. I can tell you based on the COG meeting on Thursday, that the COG changed the points for community and school support. The mayor of Clovis said, of course you're going to get community and school support. They all want the money for this. So they're going to change that to 1 point, and they're going to add 9 points to project need, including crash safety data. So that's going to be 24 points. That's going to be a quarter of the project right there. So if we can show the area where we've had issues in the past, that's really going to help us get over the top on this. And they want to award this money as fast as possible. Like city engineer says, no strings attached, no matching required. They're just going to send this out, but it's one time. So we got to do it right. We really have to do it right. And so tonight I would invite my council colleagues to give their opinion. I would invite the members of the public to give your opinion on where you would like to see the Safe Routes to School, to see our city apply. I will give my 2 cents at the start before we open up the council and to the public. I would like to see more in traffic calming. I would like to see, they don't call them speed bumps anymore. They're like rubber mats. And I like to see a rubber mat in front of the high school. Like see it on Thompson, and I'd like to see it on Wright Street. So people just gently are reminded that you need to slow down in front of the schools. So I'd like to see the city apply for that as well. Council have any additional suggestions?
I have a comment on McCall and Barbara. I know they have the signal lights there, but again, that's where we had a fatality. So because they have a signal light, can they put those flashing lights when kids are crossing over? Because that's a really dangerous area.
So if there's an existing traffic signal with pedestrian, I don't think we add the flashing. So
Okay.
the flashing light's what's called a hawk system, and that's
Mhm.
usually used between two signals, that when somebody pushes the button, then the lights start to flash and stop. So there are other improvements we can do at that intersection. We can definitely look at.
I have a question. What, I know you guys have talked about in the past, but and there's a school pretty close to it, which would be the Rose and Orange. We've talked a lot about that, where the kids are even coming from junior high or coming from Woodward. Floral, no, it's Floral, I'm sorry, yeah. No, is it Floral? No, I'm talking about Rose and Orange.
Yeah,
The
there's
canal.
an uncontrolled intersection that's slightly at.
That's the
angle
one I'm
that's
talking
been
about.
discussed before.
Have we talked about that? Is that somewhere, is it close enough to, is it close?
There are, yeah, there are a couple other funding applications that we're looking at. There's an ATP application that's out. We have HSIP money that we received. Tactical Urbanism Committee, that you saw do some work by the high school. They're looking at their second location, which I think is on Rose Avenue. So we have been looking at it, but I'll put that on our note.
I know this is a stretch, but it would be ditch going towards Dinuba from Abraham Lincoln. On the left-hand side, there's sidewalk, but on the right-hand side, and I understand there's a canal, a ditch, there's a canal there. Is that kind of a stretch to probably put that out there even?
I actually think that's in the county. Yeah, I think where the ditch actually is in the unincorporated county. So that would be developed as Amberwood is built to the north of Abraham School. To David's point, the tactical urbanism has identified the Orange and Rose intersection, as well as the one in front of in between Brett Linger and Rose. There's another intersection intermediate there that they're proposing to do some intermediate improvements. We're also looking at the intersection over by Eric White on Nebraska and Mitchell, which I believe doesn't have a curb ramp on the southwest corner. I think it has sparsely painted crosswalks over there as well. And so that's also part of the tactical urbanism grant, where we're identifying some temporary improvements for funding and future improvements. To David's point, we also have the local road safety plan that we want to kind of log roll whatever projects we have to show that direct need with incidents where we have had collisions or fatalities or just injuries, whether it's pedestrians or cyclists, along with proximity to the school. So we have a $1.3 million grant application that was awarded for some of the improvements along the canal on Orange to have bulb outs to shorten the pedestrian walkway. So we want to make sure we eliminate projects we're already working on, we have funding for it, and identify the key strategic projects that make the most impact.
And just note, it was also mentioned at the meeting, the closer you are to the school, the more points you get.
Okay. Done? Okay, my turn. Okay, on McCall and Nelson Boulevard, that intersection there, we actually have a stop sign there. But in the past, we had a flashing stop signs and they stop, they actually, people stop, but since we don't have no more flashing signs no more, I know those people are not running it anymore. They're actually running it. And, so is there a way to, part of that safe route to school, put the flashing stop sign there? Is that part of it? And also I'd like to see it over there about on Greenwood Apartments over there. Those kids coming out of Greenwood Apartments, if we could put another flashing crosswalk for the kids, they hit the button, they're crossing the road when the cars are coming, man. I don't want the kid to get hit.
We
You
have
know,
a,
It's on Gold, I think it's on Gold Ridge. It's right across, is it right across from the Greenwood Apartments? I'm gonna call. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, and then that stop sign in the corner, you know, it's just disaster about ready to happen there. And thank God no one got hit. And what else? Let's see. See, I think, you got in front of the high school already, probably the little, this, slow the people down. But, when you do those signs, can we put like those meter signs, like, hey, when school's in session, hey, slow down, school's in session, 25-mile zone,
One
is
of the
there,
rec-
I mean,
Or
when
that
the school's in
shows the- that
session.
shows the speed. That
Yeah, slow
there
your
is
speed down,
an
yeah.
an option for that. We can look at where that.
Yeah,
would be.
that way people notice, okay, this is a school zone,
That was mentioned
schools-
in the application.
yeah.
They don't care.
Thank you for input. There will be more information, and as we get the actual application, we'll be reaching out. And like I said, we'll be reaching out to the school district, not because we need their input, but because we want their input.
Absolutely. And we have input from the public now. Please come up.
My name is Anita Gonzalez. Last year, my granddaughter got hit in back of the high school. And they had the lights, she still passed. And I've been picking up my granddaughter. I go to the school. There's kids are crossing and they're still passing. We need these bumpers for for these schools. We need to see another death. I am so lucky my granddaughter, everybody prayed for her. She's still alive, but she didn't stay the same. I'm just asking, I know that the police, I know the fire, it's gonna stop, but you know what? We're gonna save lives. It was not only my granddaughter, it was her and her friend. But my granddaughter flew. She was in a coma. I was at the hospital. I was praying and praying, please God, don't let her go. She opened her eyes. I'm just asking you guys, I'm not only fighting for my granddaughter or her friend, I'm fighting for all these kids. You guys gotta open your eyes. We don't want another death. I don't know, in Fresno, somebody got hit again. And you guys, we need bumpers. We don't want another death. Like when my granddaughter got hit, a month later, somebody got hit by the cemetery. Please, you guys, we need these bumpers for all these kids. Thank you. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, everybody, for listening to me. I'm a shy person, but if it comes to these kids, I would be here. I'm gonna start being here at these meetings and fight for these bumpers.
You're a good grandmother.
Thank you.
Good grandmother of our
Thank you for your
community.
prayers, everybody. Everybody asked me, we needed food. The hospital, no. The best thing is prayers. In Diola, the high school, a couple of my friends that work for the police, they prayed for her. Thank you for listening to me, you guys. I'm here. I'm gonna continue being here until we get these bumpers. We don't want another death. And these kids doesn't deserve it to get hit.
Thank you.
Please, thank you.
Anybody else with a comment?
Laurel and Orange. It's a four-way stop. It kind of is real skinny and then it opens up as it goes toward the middle school. But there's so much traffic there when the kids are getting out because it's a four-way stop. this traffic is backed up in all directions. And I know that they've talked about a signal in that area once Amberwood gets going. But the light up stop signs, light up crosswalks, or any of those kinds of things that could aid in some of the traffic going through there would be helpful. The other thing is that this is personal, or I live at the mobile home park, and we have speed bumps. We have some smaller ones. We have some higher ones that were put in to try to get people to slow down in the park. We've got a lot of older people walking or riding their bikes and walking their dogs and things. Speed bumps have not helped because these people in the bigger trucks, bigger delivery trucks or pickup trucks and whatever, the speed bumps don't stop them. They go, just the ones who go slow are the people who are in lower cars because we have to go up over those bumps. But I don't know if there's another alternative to speed bumps that would have that effect of slowing people down, because if your truck is raised up or whatever, those don't phase you. They just fly over them just as fast as if they weren't there. So maybe researching into some other type of speed bump or something that would slow or decelerate cars going through there might be something that we could research also and put in a request for in areas, especially like on McCall. You can't put a speed bump on McCall. It's a four-way lane. I can't see speed bumps going all the way across McCall. And we have different areas. We have Garfield, we have Jackson School that are all along McCall, and you'd have to have speed bumps all along that way. Maybe there's something else that is doable that could slow traffic down on a big street like that, that would help, because again, we do have schools, a lot of kids crossing the middle school, coming back from the middle school, crossing McCall at Nelson Boulevard. And so if there was something else besides a speed bump that could be a better alternative.
Right, so there's really no such thing as speed bumps anymore. They're speed mats now. So they've increased and improved the technology. It just reminds people, and those big trucks you're talking about probably need to see the beacons and have the speed bumps, and maybe even a ticket or two to be reminded of the need to slow down. Thank you for your comment. Well, one other thing, in the McCall Village, I haven't heard of anybody hit recently walking in McCall Village, so the speed bumps may have done a little bit of good out there.
Rose Robertson. Also, we need to look at economy market. There's a lot of kids and families, grandmothers, and grandfathers that I personally know, and I see them walking a lot, going to the grocery store. And we got to really look around there. There's a lot of kids leaving the Iroquois school. And I think at the end of the day, this city's about 10 years behind on the speed mats. We used to live in Salinas area, and just about every school has those speed mats. And let me tell you, it will slow you down. These little racers, you look at my mom's camera on Thompson, and they race like mad crazy kids because they don't care. They don't care, and they're going to race their cars, and everybody knows it. They race their cars on Thompson. They race their cars on Wright Street. These kids are not thinking enough where they just want to speed out of there, speed in there, speed. It's very dangerous. At the end of the day, the speed mats work. They look nice. They worked for us the other day when I was going over a road, and boy, let me tell you, I thought twice of, didn't even realize they were there. You can't even tell they're there. But it was right by a school in Fresno. Get on board with this, and enough. Enough's enough. There's $6 million there. Take advantage. We've been here begging since these fatalities have happened, begging, crying, begging, story after story after story. And once again, it's every reason why we shouldn't have them on. Let it be your kid. And let me tell you, things would change really quick. So we need to get those on board at every school if possible, where there's a lot of driving going on. That will slow you down, period. Thank you.
Any other public input? Anybody on the phone or online?
At this time, I see no hands raised.
Okay, great. Thank you. This is an action item. We'll look forward to the application before it goes in. Our next item is item 5.4. It's an action item, consideration and necessary action of resolution 2025-40 designating the official City of Selma logo.
Mayor, members of the council, the actual correct technical name for that sign that is in back of the mayor is the city seal. It comes from a long ago when they used to put a wax seal on an envelope. And every city has a seal. It's mandated by statute. We tend to refer to them as logos now, simply because they're now transferred onto everything that we put out, including all your letterhead and everything else. So this resolution you have before you is simply a memorialization of a prior vote that the council took to discontinue use of what you adopted as a new city logo for your correspondence, letterheads, that sort of thing, and to revert back to the use of the city seal, which I think has probably been in use since this city. Yeah.
Probably has.
So that's all this is. We're just putting the directive, I think was made in January 21, in writing so that everybody knows to change the logo on your letterhead when you're sending something out from the city to reflect that this is our city seal.
So this is an action item to just reinforce what's already been decided, which is to make the city seal, as the city attorney says, our logo that all of us use. Everybody in the city uses it in all communications, including emails, social media posts, printed materials, advertising, the website, anything that the city uses to represent itself should have the city seal right here, in which I'm wearing on my City of Selma, and most of our council members are wearing tonight as our city seal. Is that correct? That's the
Correct.
way we represent ourselves as a city. Any comment before we open it up for the public?
No.
Okay, any public input on the use of our traditional city seal as our city logo for all communications between the city and the public?
Sally Ramirez, Selma, California. I'm glad that it's going to be reverted back to the original logo because that's us right there. Everything that it says, raising capital of the world. It's funny because the other night, I want to say it was about 2 nights ago, on YouTube. I don't know if you know, but if you go in there, it gives you the story of Selma, California, and how it all started in exactly the year that it says on there. 1880, is it 1883? 1883. It goes way back. So if you Google, if you go on there, you type, excuse me, Selma, California, it'll give you a history of Selma. So this represents us, the grapes, raising capital of the world. I know that we're no longer the raising capital of the world, but that's what we're known for. So I say that I'm glad that that's going to be reverted back. Thank you.
Any other input?
Rose Robertson. Also, if you go on certain other, like YouTube, when you go and watch the city council meetings again, they have it at the bottom left-hand side, or they have it somewhere. And it's just, when you're looking through things for the city of Selma, whether it's on the website or wherever, it's very confusing because it makes it look like, is Dwight Nelson advertising this? You know, it's like you're looking for Dwight for the Selma Auto Mall because that S just doesn't go. It just, it's unfortunate that we had to even go down that route. But, and I couldn't just imagine how much that costs to do that, So I think at the end of the day, everybody looks at that symbol and that logo, and that's how they identify Selma. So I'm hoping that it just goes back in every
aspect that you can find, because I see it everywhere. And it's just unfortunate, but it'd be a good choice to just clean it all up everywhere and stick to our original logo. Thank you.
Chief Webster.
Yeah, I just wanted to make a quick comment regarding the fire department with regards to the use of our patch. We currently utilize this logo on our letterhead and correspondence, as well as on our email signatures. This, I believe, and I didn't honestly pay a lot of attention to the staff report for this council agenda, but what I read here is that you want to utilize the use of the city seal, and my request would be that, just due to the traditions of the fire service, that maybe there could be a provision listed in there that we could still utilize our adopted patch as the emblem for the specific fire department correspondence, which is
I believe the police department uses a different,
Correction. And it also just helps kind of push the messaging that we're putting out, which is a lot of times in regard to enforcement or some type of law enforcement action.
and their seals are more in the
Right.
nature of like badges, and they
Right.
convey that they're,
Yeah.
you know, public safety officers. So I think that's highly appropriate that they continue to use
Yeah.
their own traditional seal.
I don't think that's the intent of tonight, to supplant or replace anything that
Right.
the fire or police have been using for a while now. What I think council is talking about tonight is that other logo that was used previously, and that the council decided not to go with, and it's still being used sporadically, and I think council's just saying, we want to use the logo. We want to use our seal on all communications from the city, non-fire and non-police, because we just want to show that we're unified here. I think it showed was a symbol of maybe a little bit of a disconnect there. I think we're moving in the same direction again, and I think the logo is part of that. So I'm really encouraged, and I think it's positive. It's a positive development to use the traditional city seal.
Mayor Robertson, I do have a question. For those printed materials that we already have, do we have the ability to use those? And then when they're done, reorder with the original seal? Or is it one to where we immediately use the, like, reorder with the old seal? For example, we have envelopes that have been ordered that have the new seal on it or the new logo on it. Are we able to utilize that until it's done, and then when we reorder have the old seal on it? Or do you want us to throw those out, reorder with the old seal?
No, I don't want to
So we
waste
can go
anything.
ahead
No
and
way.
Utilize what
Don't
we
wait,
have.
that's taxpayer money. No way. But no more.
Okay.
And I don't want to see any more emails. I don't want to see anything on the website with that old logo that we've been seeing for months and months and months now. Want to see whatever you can replace at no cost to the taxpayer, any kind of communications. Get rid of the old logo or whatever that thing was, and then put our traditional city seal on instead.
Okay, will do. We will commit to doing that. Unfortunately, we won't be able to do all of it tomorrow, but we will be,
No, that's
we will
fine.
commit to doing it within the next 2 weeks.
Sounds good. And as the business cards get used up and all that good stuff, just replace them with using the traditional city seal. Thank you. Is there any discussion? Is there a motion to approve this action item?
Question
Go for it.
on the resolution, it says passed, approved, and adopted this sixth day of May.
It must be an error on my part or my secretary's part, I'm guessing.
Can we just write it?
We can strike that out by interlineation and put the correct date, June 3rd, on it.
I was wondering who did it. I'm just kidding.
When the city clerk gives me the resolution tonight, did you want me just to cross it out and put June, or do you want to redo it and have me come by and sign it?
I will redo it.
Okay.
I'll reprint it.
All right. Thank you. Is there a motion to approve this item?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Call the roll, please.
Councilman Avalos,
Yes.
Councilman Oseguera,
Yes.
Councilman Trujillo,
No.
Mayor Pro Tem Guerra,
Yes.
Mayor Robertson.
Yes. Next item, we're going to skip the next two items, which will be handled in closed session as we earlier indicated, and move on to an action item, which is consideration and necessary action on Resolution 2025-41, establishing Public Information Office to be directed by Public Information Officer, Communications Director appointed by the City Council and to be employed as a regular city employee subject to city personnel rules and regulations.
Mayor, members of the council, this is a resolution that establishes a new position in the city of Selma. The Office of Public Information, which is to be headed by oddly enough, a Public Information Officer, Communications Director, whatever you want to call that person. The resolution makes that new position one that is appointed by the city council, but the appointee is a regular employee subject to our usual personnel rules and regulations and personnel ordinances. This is a person who would presumably coordinate all official communications, whether that be by our police department, our fire department, our city hall, what have you, in addition to making efforts to better market and better display our better side of the city. This is a proposal actually being made by the mayor, and he's provided a draft job description, which you can all review and see what's contemplated here. And the resolution just basically directs the staff to take the steps necessary to establish the position as an actual position that's going to get filled by a live person. And that includes developing a specific job description and deciding on a salary schedule, which we do by in-house looking at comparable salaries for comparable positions in other cities. That is the sum and substance of the resolution. I'm happy to answer any questions you might have, but you can probably describe better than I can what it is you're looking for in this position.
Great, thank you. Yes, as the city attorney did mention, this is something that I brought up after much input from citizens in terms of wanting a more unified image and wanting us to market. You know, we hear a lot about our city, how we want to market ourselves, how we want to represent ourselves as unified. And we're doing so with our downtown, with our business improvement district. We're doing it with our constant attention to infrastructure and move to increase the number of single-family residential homes here. We are building a brand, we're building an identity, and now it's time to move on to the next step, which is marketing our city, which is really important. And we need to have someone who's able to harness all of the great things that our city is doing and represent them not only to our city, but also to other cities abroad. As many of you know, we went to Las Vegas to talk to cities, talk to businesses in Vegas at a big trade show about locating their businesses in Selma. How important is it for us to have that unified message and to have that social media and that marketing presence? Incredibly important, because these folks, as we heard when we were talking to these businesses, they come and drive our town, but they don't just do that. They look at our demographics, they look at the way we represent ourselves, the way we carry ourselves. And what better way to promote our image of Selma than to have a marketing public information director officer who's going to get the message out on Selma that we are unified and what we want the people to see. As we heard tonight, we heard some very nice words from Mike about how we're moving in the right direction. We are moving in the right direction, but we are moving, and we still need to get to that area where other people see us as the place to be, the place to move, and the place to locate your business. I think this will help us tonight to unify, not to backtrack, but we have seen all sorts of different messages on social media placed by individuals from departments and by the departments themselves in a way that doesn't flatter or look well on and reflect well on our city. I think we need to promote a professional, unified message in our city. And I think someone who coordinates all of the messages, all of the social media, everything we have on the website as a public information officer will help us to accomplish that. I think this position will work very closely with the city council in terms of moving our city forward and conveying the messages, also helping us with our talks when we go out to various functions, helping us with advertising materials, helping us to promote our city, acting as a liaison to our Chamber of Commerce, to our Rotary. This is going to be an extremely busy position, and it's going to, I think, be a game changer in terms of taking our city to the next level and in promotion and in helping us to show the community and the rest of Fresno County and the rest of the state and the country who we really are as Selma. And I think we're taking steps tonight in showing who we are in terms of our identity and also moving forward into projecting our presence in the way we communicate as well with the public. Is there any input tonight from council on this item?
You know, Scott, it's true. When I was in Vegas, I did come across a gentleman that was was a communication person of a city, and and I got to talk to him a little bit. You guys were busy, and and he's right. And he told me you market your city. He was there, hit the city, and he was a communication, and that was his job, to market the city where he came from, and he was in the trade show. He was actually doing what he was supposed to be doing. He's also representing the city, but at the same time, he was marketing the city where he came from, and it's a great tool because when you go to these trade shows, we seen the booth, they're marketing their city too. So it's in the long run, you have to market your city to be successful. And if you're going to be a future, a city growth, that's how you got to do it. In the past, that's how the city of Selma got started. Someone marketed, and look at it. You got a bank with and when it was built way back then, Selma had a bank here first. And before you know it, look at it now. And look, all of a sudden, Kingsburg's now, Fowler, it's all about marketing, and that's why, when I first got on the council, short story straight is I was in the 5 cities, and we market to help each other. We market each other needed help. We're going to grow together. In the future, we're going to grow. We'll be like LA. In the future, we'll be like LA. The town's going to grow, but we got to grow smart. And we got to market it smart, and we got to help our comrades around us as well. So it's a great tool. Trust me. I seen that character. He's very successful. That's all I got to say.
And I'd like to say as well, as coming from Vegas, I know we have some great news coming, and it'll be coming soon. But what I did get from that, I'm not saying it, yeah. But what I'm gonna say is the compliments that we received from the consultants that we met there is they were so impressed with the team. When they saw that we were all there as council members, along with our deputy city manager and one of our developers that was with us, they were very impressed. And they looked at us like this city has it together. And that's the image that we wanted to set, is that we're ready for business. And I have to tell you that that was an impression for them. When you go to these consultants, you don't want to waste time. And when they saw there was a team there, they knew we were serious about bringing business to Selma. So they took the time to sit with us. And let me tell you, like I said, there's gonna be some good news coming soon, so we'll all wait for that news. That's what I just wanted to say.
Yeah, I just want to say that one of the comments made by the people we talked to, that's exactly what she said. He goes, you know what? He goes, I wish more cities would send their council to talk to us and the people that know, like Jerome, you know, that knows his stuff about what we have available or not, because it makes it easier for them. Because he goes, sometimes we just sit there and talk about all kinds of stuff we don't really get. I mean, we went with the guy, what, 15 minutes and we were out of there, you know? Jerome gave him the information, we talked to him and, you know, we're on our way. So there's a lot of good things coming to Selma.
Any comments? Any comments from the public? Anybody online or on the phone with a comment?
Mayor, I see no hands raised at this time.
Thank you. With that, we'll bring the matter back to council. So just to move forward with this, I see this as a strong, there's a strong economic component to this position. And so, that position is not being filled right now. I don't know if it will be filled in the future. But I see this as, this is not an economic development director, but there's going to be a strong economic development factor, as part of this person's job duties to interact with the various organizations and to do videos and to really market us in order to increase our market, our presence in the city among citizens who want to relocate here and businesses who want to come here. It's going to be a unified message for our whole city. It's also, I think, going to provide some good direction for the city itself, because this person will be in charge of all the communications that go out from the city. With that, in terms of timeline, I would like to look at, this is going to be a council position that reports to the a posting that reports to the council. I'd like to see the posting from June 4th. That's tomorrow. If we do have the job description here. And I'd like it to be an abbreviated posting period, because I think we need to get started on this as soon as possible. June 4th to June 16th. City attorney, is there a minimum timeline that a job has to be posted in California by a public entity?
In California, statewide? No.
Okay, so it's up to the council to do that posting, so that will be an abbreviated posting. But what I would like to see is the council to be able to meet and discuss all applications received in closed session at the June 17th meeting for this position. And the salary range that we're looking at, that I've heard repeatedly around, including the economic development will also be part of this, is 92,000 to 120,000 in salary.
So Mayor Robertson, I knew this item was coming before us,
Mhm.
and it is one to where I have a statement written about this. So it's one to where I know you submitted the proposed job description. According to the submitted draft, this position would be responsible for developing and overseeing all citywide communications, media relations, branding, and public engagement initiatives. The proposed reporting structure indicates the position would report directly to the Selma City Council. I'm providing a human resources review of the proposal, including an assessment of its alignment with the city's organizational structure and recommendations for consideration prior to the formal adoption. So Selma is a general law city operating under a council manager form of government. Under this model, as outlined in the California Government Code and affirmed by municipal best practices, the city council sets policy direction for the city. The city manager is the administrative head of the city and is responsible for the implementation of policy and management of city operations, including supervision of city personnel. As proposed, the position would report directly to the city council. This structure conflicts with the legal framework of general law cities, where individual employees do not report directly to the council unless explicitly provided for by statute. A direct reporting structure would raise significant governance and administrative concerns and could potentially undermine the city manager's role as head of operations. Despite structural concerns, the creation of a centralized communications function offers notable benefits. It improves public transparency. A dedicated communications professional could enhance the city's ability to provide clear, timely, and consistent information to the public. Crisis and emergency communications. This position could specialize capacity to respond effectively in crisis situations and during critical incidents as well. Enhanced branding and outreach. With coordinated messaging and visual identity, the city could build greater public trust and pride while attracting civic participation and economic opportunities and support for city initiatives. Communications leadership would enable better promotion of city programs, events, and initiatives. In order to advance the intent of the proposal while ensuring compliance with the city's legal and organizational structure, I'm recommending the following. Consider a contract position with a fixed yearly amount. The city manager and I actually spoke about this prior to this item being put on the agenda, and we both agree this is not a full-time position. Consider contracting with Fresno City College for an internship opportunity for students to have credit for their course, but also to have workforce experience. Should the contract position not be considered, revise the reporting structure. Have the position report directly to the city manager in alignment with the council manager form of government. The role may include language specifying close coordination with the mayor and council on public messaging priorities. Clarify the departmental placement. The position should be placed under the city manager's office. And then we did talk about a salary study. Some of the other things, not only the fiscal impact, because we've been talking about reducing costs. If this position is anywhere between 92,000 to 120, that is salary alone. You're looking at an additional 30% for benefits. So if this is a full-time position, add on additional 30% to that amount. And the review itself of the compensation should also consider any type of internal equity or potential overlap with any type of existing positions. Also, assess the resource and operational needs. Given the scope of the responsibilities I outlined, such as video production, social media management, branding, the position may require budget allocations for staffing support, technology, and external vendors. These should be evaluated during the implementation process. The proposal reflects a proactive and strategic vision to evaluate city communications and enhance public engagement. However, for the city to remain in compliance with state law and the integrity of its council manager form of government, revisions to the reporting structure and organizational placement are necessary. HR is available to assist with the revised job description, and we support further analysis as directed by City Council.
Okay, so your argument rests on the legal, from what I heard, on the legal issue of whether or not the public information officer and the market and the communications director would undermine the city manager form of government that the city of Selma currently has. I don't think that the HR director maybe saw the whole position that was being projected, which is to operate through the city, not just on him or herself, their own, but to operate through the city when the city council is not in session, but to report to the council and work closely with the council on unifying the messaging for the council.
That the council is simply the appointing authority.
Correct.
Everything else would be the city manager. The
Everything
city
else.
manager would be the day-to-day manager, supervisor. He'd be the person that would evaluate this individual, authorize pay
That is correct.
increases, all of that. You're simply retaining to yourself the decision relative to selection of the individual. And, you know, with the power of appointment always comes the power of removal. And that's just a function of who's appointing the person. The person who's appointing always retains the power of removal. And there's nothing there's nothing about the city manager form of government that prohibits a city council from having employees that are appointed
Su-
by.
Such as the
council.
city attorney, is that correct? I think the city council is responsible for hiring and dispatching the city attorney, and from what I understand, there's been no
And
violation
it
of
can-
the
it
city
can
council.
also- the
city manager
statute
form of
actually
government.
mandates that you appoint your chief of police. There is a alternative statute that says the city manager may appoint. There's no law interpreting that provision. And the commentary on that is simply the city manager appoints the chief of police if the council authorizes them to do that, and typically they do that by ordinance. You have a city manager ordinance. I hesitate to tell you where that's at, but it's, I believe, actually it's chapter 18 of Title 4. That's where it's at. And it lists in there that the city manager appoints all officers, employees, unless this is a appointment of the council or the city council. I'm paraphrasing, but that's what it says. And the law puts you in charge of establishing that city council form of government. You established the city council form of government, I think, in 1988. And you do that by the simple expedient of adopting, 1993 is when you did it. You do that by the simple expedient of adopting an ordinance, announcing to the world we're going to henceforth have a city manager, city council form of government. And you're pretty well in control of how that operates.
So having
I don't
received a
know of
legal
any-
opinion, correct, that it doesn't, that appointing a public information officer doesn't undermine and is in no way illegal, an
it's
illegal
a
function,
definitely in no way illegal.
and in no way does it undermine the city manager form of government.
It does not, because your own ordinances contemplate there are going to be people that are appointed by the city council. Because in that, there's a laundry list of powers city manager has in your ordinances. And one of them is to appoint all officers, employees, and I think it basically just says unless that person is a council appointee. And the statute doesn't specify or mandate other than with respect to a chief of police. And with respect to the city attorney and with respect to the city manager, obviously.
So in terms of the
statute mandates those three are to be appointed by the city council. But like I mentioned, there's a quirk in the statute relating to you're authorizing the city manager to do this. It says he may, but that typically means you've issued a resolution, and this is with respect to the chief of police only. That's the only one where there's
a may
there's a
instead
question.
of will.
But there's nothing anywhere in the law that prohibits you from deciding to create a new position and to have that position appointed by the city council.
So having taken care of that objection, we move on to the next objection, which is the city salary. And I find that kind of rich to hear that it's too much in terms of salary when we've had 2 rounds of huge increases and our payrolls increased from $11 million from 6 million to 11 million before benefits in the last couple of years. So, pardon me for that. I don't think that this is an untoward salary in any, we'll get to public comment in just a moment, sir. But going back to the distinction of how much time this person will have to devote to their job, why don't we see how it goes? And we'll give it some time to see if it is a full or part-time position. I suspect, like many cities, it will be a full-time position. And one of the first duties of this public information officer will be to review all of the social media policies of the city, which will take some time, and I think will help the liability, will help minimize or at least reduce the liability of the city. So in terms of the time it will take, there will also be an economic component. And I have noticed that staff has been going to a lot of trade shows over the last couple of years. And I see that as a furthering of staff's education to make themselves better at the job. I see the public information officer and the communications director devoting that same amount of time to furthering their knowledge of how they can work, how they can utilize tools like AI, advertising, all of these other ways of promoting our city out there that will take time and it will take knowledge. And I think it will be a full-time job and then some. It could be a time and a half time job. I don't know. It could even be more than full-time, but we'll have to see that. But I think this is a start. So I think we've dealt at the council level with the objections that the HR director has, the community development director has raised, and I appreciate those. But I don't think that they are enough in this case to prevent this from moving forward. I think this is going to, the benefits of creating this position far outweigh the potential limitations of doing so, and my earlier comments still stand. A gentleman from the public would like to make a comment at this point. Yes, sir.
I would. So I think having a public information person is good. I think you would be better served, by contract, because you don't know exactly what you need yet. And by hiring a person, you're going to have the full payroll load. B, when the council appoints it, it's also going to take the majority of the council to get rid of this person as well. And so just like you hire your city attorney and your city manager, it's going to still take that majority to get rid of that person, which you're going to have this person report to the city manager, and that's going to give him direction, but he can basically tell the city manager to pound sand because he answers to you, not the city manager. That's the conflict that's going to create, number one. Number two has the salary been set for this already? So
We have a range that we're looking at.
can't fly it tomorrow legally. Your salaries have to be set by resolution. By law, you have to post the salaries for public employees on the flyers. And so until you do take that action as a city council and create the salary by resolution, you can't post the fly. You
What
can't
we're
fly the
doing
position.
tonight. That's what we're doing tonight, correct? City attorney? Can we
It
post
has
the
to be done by
salary
resolution.
tonight?
You need to establish a salary schedule. Establish the position. You would necessarily publish that salary schedule section with an advertisement for it.
So when you go out and go for the job, write the job listing, you're posting the salary along with the job listing, correct? That's the same thing as publishing, which we're
Yeah,
hearing tonight.
which is, it's different than you would do with your city manager recruitment, for example. You have a salary schedule for your city manager. Really shouldn't. City manager is a high executive person, and his or her compensation really ought to depend on his or her qualifications and experience. And, so you see a lot of these advertisements for city managers that never mention the salary, and I think that's probably the bulk of them. Most of them will say salary commensurate with experience. When you go out and you issue an RFP for a city attorney, you certainly don't say, you know, you can charge X per hour, or you can charge us this way or that way. So there's huge differences between somebody you are appointing to a established position, like for example, a firefighter in the police fire department, for example. That's an established position and an established salary schedule. And for that reason, that position just carried that reason. That's why you publish the salary with that announcement. That's not a legal requirement. What you're looking for is somebody who's has a particular talent, it's a particular somebody who's a good marketer. I don't think all out there that says you have to publish what you're going to pay.
Okay, so we could float the job description without an actual range
You
of
say, you know,
salaries, say
this
salaries
salary
commensurate with experience.
experience.
What is the timeline in terms of how the city can post that?
There's no prescribed timeline. It's a matter of reason. It would be irrational and unreasonable. Announcement within 3 days. It might be arguably unreasonable to do that within 10 days if you're not operating under urgent need, particular kind of person. It would certainly be reasonable to post.
Okay. So post it, leave it out for
It's
20.
a matter of reason, and it's really dependent upon what you're looking for.
How long can we post it after we potentially pass this tonight? How long can we post it? What's the timeline?
Yeah, that's there may be something in your personnel rules that do that. That require a posting for. I'm not aware that there are.
Is there a timeline?
Mayor Robertson, there is
PR
not a
person.
timeline. We do have an internal policy that states new job postings are a minimum of 2 weeks. That's a standard that we have set. However, I must clarify that this position is considered a CalPERS. If it is a regular position, CalPERS requires that the salary is adopted per resolution in order for it to be considered reportable. So if this position is going to be a regular employee for the city of Selma, one that is going to be on the PERS retirement system, it is required to be the salary be established by resolution. And
Once it's
that's-
filled or
No,
after?
it has to be on the salary schedule by the time we fly it, we have to have a salary that is posted with it.
Yeah, you have to have a resolution establishing the salary of the person before you.
Okay. So then our next
Senate
step,
Bill 1162 requires you to put it on the publishing.
okay,
That's
Say
the
it.
new
Say it
that's the
again.
new California law, Senate Bill 1162. The
1162
law, any
of
employer
what?
over 15, any employer over 15 employees must publish the salary on the flyer.
Well.
Okay.
1162 of what code?
California state law, Senate Bill 1162.
What code?
Say what code? I'm sure it's in the government code.
Not 1162 of the government code.
Fine. What the legislature passed was Senate Bill 1162 requiring salaries be published.
You're referring to a Senate Bill 1162?
Yes.
I'd have to look. I don't really know what he's referring to, but there are different requirements.
we're good, Mike. Thank you.
Okay,
We got,
I
you can
understand.
talk one time. So sit down, please. Thank you.
There
We're
are-
good. Thank you. We're gonna get to
there are
the bottom of
different-
this. Thank you
there
for
are
your input.
different requirements for different positions. Obviously, before a person is enrolled in PERS, you have to establish the salary.
Okay, so our next step is establishing the salary by resolution. We can do that at the next council meeting, right?
You
establish-
can, you can.
Or can we do it right now?
And you know, what you want to do is you want to do it in an educated fashion. In other words, you want to figure out what this person is worth on
Right.
the market, basically. You typically do that by a salary study.
So at the next meeting, we're gonna add this to we'll do a future agenda item. We'll add the resolution. We'll take your concerns or your information on this typical payroll, right? Salary range for this. Just note, we're not creating some far-flung position. There's a chief marketing officer of most corporations out there. There is a lot of public information officers out there. So to sort of infer that this is this wild employee, coming in doing this crazy thing. No, it's not. We should have had this position before, and we are filling a gap that we didn't have. And the reason we're filling it is because there have been problems because we didn't fill it. And we need somebody to come in and be our public information officer and communications director. So thank you for your objections, and they're noted. But overall, we're going to move forward with this, but we're going to do it in line with your suggestions to give us a salary range. And we're also going to come up with a resolution adopting this new position per the CalPERS rules. Thank you for that information.
And in the
Very helpful.
meantime, we'll look at SB 1162, given the fact that it refers to an employer with 60 employees, it's necessarily referring to non-exempt hourly employees.
Got it. Okay, thank you. Thank you for the good discussion.
Neil, I just wanted to clarify, when you see the postings for city managers, even on Western cities or League of Cities,
I've seen it both ways.
I've seen where they post the salary for. city
I've seen him,
They're
I've seen him say,
or
the
rank.
last city manager was making X.
Yeah,
But the salary we're going to offer is commensurate with your talent, experience,
Right,
that sort of
right.
thing. I've seen him say, we offer a competitive salary and benefits. That's one you see a lot of, without ever mentioning a dollar amount. And, frankly, I think it's foolish to mention a dollar amount. Because, your salary schedule for your city manager is, I believe it's $240,000, if not more. The person you ultimately get may or may not be worth that amount of money. And it just seems foolhardy to me. Certainly, you're gonna have to establish what the person is gonna make when you start reporting it to PERS, but you're not expected to decide how every person is going to be paid, what they're going to be paid, and how much before you pick the person for the job.
Got it. Okay, so we're gonna move on, and at the next meeting, we will finalize this new and necessary job with the city, new position with the city.
Mr. Mayor, may I
Got
make
it.
a comment, please? Is that
Okay,
Yeah, and I'm
Go
sorry
ahead.
to interrupt, and the reason I want to make a comment is because the structure of this position is similar that was agendized for my position as well as the police chief. And I'm listening to the discussion. Number one, I'm fully supportive of a PIO position. I think it's a great idea, and I think marketing our city is going to be a tremendous benefit going forward. What I want to ensure you're aware of, which I don't feel like is being articulately clarified by our city attorney, is how the statutes work with regards to a council manager form of government. And the reason this is so critical to me and why, and I appreciate the opportunity to comment, because I think that this decision is going to set precedent going forward that may create some challenges going forward. As I'm listening to what is being recommended as a employee that is appointed and or terminated by the city council, but answers to the city manager. Um, I see some challenges with regards to, and again, I'm not an attorney, I'm a fire chief, but with regards to the simple language that is in our municipal code that's currently adopted. And what that states, and it's Title I, Chapter 18, Section 5, which lists out the powers and duties of our city manager. And I want to highlight that that section of our ordinance was last amended in 2014. The staff report has our city attorney, our current city attorney's name on it, and so he should be well versed. And we discussed it today in our discussion, which I greatly appreciated. In that it lists out some items which are specific to the powers and duties of our city manager. One of those is authority over employees, and it states that it shall be the duty of the city manager, and he shall have the authority to control, order, and give directions to all heads of departments and to subordinate officers and employees of the city under his jurisdiction. I understand that the recommendation of the job description for this specific position does allow for the city manager to have that authority over the employee. This next section lists the power of appointment and removal. And what it states is, it shall be the duty of the city manager to, and he shall appoint, remove, promote, or demote any and all officers and employees of the city, except those employees appointed by the mayor or city council, subject to all applicable personnel ordinances, rules, and regulations. Currently, in our form of government, the only position that is appointed by the city council, well, actually, there's two. One is the city attorney, which Mr. Costanzo explained to me, which is above my legal understanding. And then the other person is the city manager, who currently is Mr. Kunkel. The next item on there is the administrative reorganization of offices. And what that states is, it shall be the duty and responsibility of the city manager to conduct studies, affect such administrative reorganization of offices, positions, or units under his direction as may be indicated in the interest of efficient, effective, and economical conduct of the city's business. There's the next item that says ordinances, which says it shall be the duty of the city manager, and he shall recommend to the city council for adoption such measures and ordinances as he deems necessary. The last thing that I wanted to state, and I brought this up to Mr. Costanzo's attention earlier in our discussion, the one statement that he said was, I was looking at that in exclusivity as to the duties of the city manager, and that those, and I'm not going to speak for him as to what he was inferring there, but down at the bottom of chapter 18, there's a clause, it's Title I, Chapter 18, Section 9, I guess, and that's the transfer of duties and powers. And what that says is, all administrative duties and powers hereto vested in the city council or other office, or I'm sorry, or other officer or employee of the city by ordinance, resolution, or other action of the city council, and all duties and powers vested in the city administrator by such council action are by provision of this chapter vested in the city manager and shall be deemed to be transferred to the city manager as though all such ordinances, resolutions, or other actions had been specifically amended. Now, to me, that is a bunch of legal mumbo jumbo that I don't necessarily understand. So I had ChatGPT provide me with a plain English interpretation, and
Fire
what that
chief,
said.
come on, man. Come
I'm
on.
sorry?
Can you wrap this up?
Yep, yes, sir.
Appreciate it, but
Yep, what it
we're
said
getting
is,
way beyond the agenda item here. So
understood. Yeah, I'm almost done, sir. I
thank
don't
you.
want, yep.
Can you wrap it up?
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you.
So it says that this law says that any administrative authority or responsibilities that used to belong to the council or were given to any other city officer or employee or previous city ordinance, resolutions, or city council actions, and also any powers that were previously given to the city administrator are now officially handed over to the city manager. So in short, I just want to ensure that city council understands that if we create a position like you're suggesting, it's going to impact our current municipal code, not just in that position, but in generality. And all of the powers that have been transferred to the city manager, which occurred more recently, or I'm sorry, way before 2014, it's going to impact those things. And so I just want to make sure that the body understands all of those things when they make that decision. At the end of the day, again, I support the decision. I support the position. I just want to understand that there is some implications that are clear to me with regards to how.
Thanks, Fire Chief.
Yep, you're
Appreciate your
welcome. Thank
input.
Mayor, if I may.
Okay, sure.
I was here when Chuck Rowe was made city manager after serving as city administrator when we adopted the city manager form of government. I wrote that ordinance. That transfer provision, that speaks to the transfer of the powers of the city administrator to the city manager. It does not say you're transferring the powers of the city council to the city manager. That would be insane.
Would also be legal since the people our power is vested in the
correct.
people.
It's,
Okay.
the list of powers and duties, you will notice that nothing in that list, not one thing, is exclusive to the city manager. And with respect to appointments and supervision of employees, it's expressly accepting from appointments of the city manager, appointments that are made by the city council. And of course, the city council is the one that adopted that ordinance to create the city manager form of government. They can eliminate the city manager form of government by adopting a different ordinance. So I don't understand the attempt to portray ordinance provisions as saying something they clearly don't say.
Once again, no one is trying to change the form of government here. We're just trying to add a position to provide services to the city and the citizens, which have been lacking so far. I think we've gone far afield of that intent, and we are going to go through the resolution process of adding that position at the next council meeting. I appreciate professional staffs whose job it is to do this, to let us know how we accomplish that. We will do that the next council meeting in an orderly way. We'll take public comment and we'll go from there and we'll take a council vote to see if that's approved. And I thank the city attorney for his input. And with that, we will not take action on this item tonight until we have our resolution at the next council meeting, and we'll request it as a future agenda item. And with that, we'll move on. Yeah, we'll table it for now. And we will move on. We have consensus to table it till the next meeting.
Yeah.
Okay? So we have consensus to table this item. And now we will move on to, before our closed session with the fire chief and the police chief, we will move on to council reports. Actually, we're going to do future agenda items. Does council have any future agenda items they would like to designate at this time?
You don't have any?
Do you have any?
Yeah, I like to see, how many in the next council meeting, I want to see the report, on our officers, how many are trained in the ARs. Rudy? Okay, if you can, give it to me. Our next council meeting, please. That's it.
Shocked. I just want to see, couple of people approached me about the fees for the yard sales. I know we discussed it, but did we get a resolution on it?
I haven't seen it.
I mean, remember we talked about it and we didn't knock the fees down or anything there. They're saying $20 is too much. I guess surrounding areas aren't charging anything. Some are charging $10. I mean, is it really a big moneymaker? That's what I want to know.
You gotta put it on the agenda. Just request it.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Yeah,
Okay.
that's a future agenda item.
Okay.
Um,
I have some.
Go for it.
Okay. I'd like to get an update, and I know I ask this all the time, but I need an update, and they can do it during council reports or direct, in regards to the lights at Schaefer Park. If we received an amount and how much it's gonna cost. And then also, I'd like status on our trees and, or lights and the poles. I thought they were gonna bring the poles so that we can see what they look like. Maybe we could get those at, or just bring one at the next council meeting.
Those are big poles. I mean, we see it in a picture, I guess, or a video or something.
And then also in regards to our packets, our council packet, I just want to know what changed. I mean, because I didn't get the email. I was gone Friday. You didn't get the email either. Okay. And I would just like to make sure that we're not losing our packets. I mean, if we can get our packets like we have in the past. And
On that item, one of the things that council is going to be getting is some new iPads, and we're trying to get you to do all electronic, so you won't have your printed packets anymore. And so we're in the process of getting those iPads and moving you to, so when we send out the packet, it'll actually be on the iPad.
Are you okay? I mean, we did that before, and the problem is we've had so many problems with it electronically. I mean, there's times we couldn't even get them on, we couldn't, so we went back to our packets. We did try that. And I know that there's times things go down, we can't get it, and if we have our packets, we at least have a form of paper.
Do you want to make an agenda item out of it? Whether or not to move to iPads, because we have not voted on it. It was just told we were going to have iPads. So do you want to make it an agenda item?
Yeah, I'd like to make it an agenda item.
I want an iPad. You guys don't want one, that's cool.
Well, we're going to decide as a council, not individually.
I like an iPad.
You can have one.
But look the only reason this thing came up is because some of the stuff we're getting, it's outdated already. Like those laptops and stuff that we get, they're not even, I mean, he can speak to it. They're outdated, they're not even supporting like the Surface Pro? It's not even being supported anymore. So like the stuff we get at home, you might as well just bring it in and drop it off. But, the iPads will move us into the 20, I mean, I think we should be getting the option. If you want an iPad, you can get an iPad. If you don't want an iPad, you can still get your packet. I mean, simple. I mean, we don't have to argue and fight. I mean, simple. I mean, they're gonna replace everything we have for council and all that stuff. They're replacing all that. Cause that stuff is no good no more.
Well, let's have an agenda item and we'll all discuss it. We don't have to argue about it, but we can
Well, we're not-
discuss it.
I'm just saying that, I want an iPad.
Is that it?
Yeah, that's it.
I'd like to do, future agenda items. I'd like a for sale sign. When are we gonna put the for sale sign on McCall and Nelson to sell that land?
Yes, we're gonna have that to you. I have. By the, surplus property requirements. Yeah, anytime you guys sell anything, and a lot depends on whether or not you put it to any kind of use. This you haven't put to any use at all. So you don't have to comply with that part of the law that requires you to notify, the people that want to build affordable housing, and you don't have to notify other governmental entities that could use what you put there because you haven't put anything there. You do have to notify the state. And that notice is about and so we will issue that notice, and we should be, you would list the property for sale. I presume you would want to do that with a broker?
Probably.
If I could make a suggestion regarding the sale of property. In terms of, thank you very much back there, by the way. In terms of what can be done with the sale of property, I would suggest issuing an RFP with specific goals for that property so that you could solicit various proposals, review the proposals before you actually sell the property, rather than selling it by a broker to someone who may just sit on it and stay undeveloped. You could at least set goals, timelines for them to develop the property, set specific parameters for what's built on that site. We could even include provisions for public use on that property as well, so that we at least get something out of that purchase of the property. That way, you at least know what you're gonna get on that site, you know who you're dealing with, and then you can collaboratively accept that proposal.
Okay,
Yeah, I'm not even familiar with where it's at. Is it? But it's vacant though, isn't it?
it's a vacant piece of land. It was for sale for years for $1.5 million. The council paid full list on it. We have all sorts of other obligations. Not like, as you said, city attorney, nothing's happened with that land since the previous council bought it. We have obligations. We've been told we need a new fire truck. We've been told we need all this fire station. We have all sorts of obligations that we need to put our money towards. So, we want
Give me the cross streets of that property again.
McCall and Nelson. McCall and Nelson.
Hey, I just, it's, I like to just comment on something, I'm one of the ones that purchased or voted to purchase that property, and, it's ironic that my colleagues just came from Las Vegas and they're wanting to build, and, that property was already actually almost in negotiations by Tractor Supply and numerous people. And we bought that property at 1.5. And there was negotiations, and and rather than start a fight, I would recommend to my colleagues that I would open the vision and think that a small-time investment of some infrastructure in front of that property and maybe marketing it to another tractor supplier or someone else, and be able to use the back end. So there's 4.5 acres, give them 2 acres, sell that for about 900,000, keep the other 2.5, and maybe even possibly have a park or something. But that's not what the vision is. I understand that, but in this city of Selma, if you look at the scope and you look at the geographics of the city, there's not a lot of open land. You have to understand that you have a lot of community members, a lot of housing being built, and there's going to be needs, and not one specific area. Being that is District 2 that needs a park, that could also fly in as a park, and it could also fly in as a senior center. It could fall into as a community center. There's many areas, and I just would like for you guys to open your mind. I understand there's people here that's just the naysayers, but you know what? I was told a long time ago that you envision your growth pattern and you invest in it now for the future, not for right now. But I'm just speaking, I understand there's seasons in this life and we're in this other season, but I just want that to be known, okay? And if you don't grasp that, that's the vision, that's the vision. But there was there was an investment vision and we actually had fruits of people coming in, but that's where we're at. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm still doing my future agenda items. I appreciate my council colleagues weighing in on this. It's funny that this is happening now because before the council purchased this land, there was none of this RFP. There was none of this use of the land. What can we use it for? I heard it's going to be an animal shelter. So, and it's probably the most dangerous intersection in town near Goldridge and McCall. Uh, an animal shelter there? So, I mean, now all of a sudden, now that we're gonna actually do something with this land and convert it into some capital that we can actually use in our city for pressing needs, all of a sudden now we have all these, potential uses for it. So, I'm gonna defer to my council colleagues, but I think we need to sell this land. And I think we need to turn that into liquid. We need to turn it into liquidity so that we can meet some of the obligations that we have as a city and some of the really urgent funding needs that we have, which kind of leads me to my next council future agenda item. I would like to review the contract for the design bid for the new fire station. And we just heard a few days ago from a contractor who urgently said they would like to do a presentation to the council on a much, much more competitive fire station. We all saw about the new fire station in Fresno. There could be some lower cost alternatives out there, and I think the council has an obligation to research that before we just kind of put this fire station on the back burner because it's unreachable. And in terms of the land, so I'd like to review that design built contract. Like, I think they've done the design. Can we get out of it at this point if the city finds a lower cost alternative?
You've got, all we've hired, chief, is the architect.
The current agreement is for the master architect and then construction management is the second component. Obviously, that would be included in the construction phase. To date, we have, I believe, 85% design in the bridging documents, which what would be utilized to go to the bid process and RFQ.
Will they give us a engineer's estimate of the cost of construction once they reach 100% or only when they reach 100%?
So the next phase of that project, once we have kind of the finalized conceptual design, which council still has some decisions to be made there, but then we will be given a formal cost estimate for that project, and it will be broken down into the individual phases.
So you've got an 85% finished design. You want to let them finish the design.
And I can just add that there is an option to get out of the contract as well as an option, but to his point, we've done a significant amount of work. I think it'd be worth getting to that, at least the design portion of it. And then we will be given that cost estimate. I will say that Deputy City Manager Keene did share with me the recent groundbreaking of the Fresno Fire Department station that was very similar in size and scope, not the exact footprint, but the cost of that project was a fraction of that. And so he's since shared that with me, and I'm going to share that with the team at Griffin, so we can get maybe hopefully a lot sharper pencil on what that looks like. The estimates that were given, again, Fresno Fire Department station, they've got shovels in the dirt today. We're a ways from that, and so they're forecasting a construction timeline a little bit deeper into the future. And as we know, there's been some pretty significant changes in inflation and that kind of thing. And so the initial numbers, you know, that I've shared with you are definitely early perceptions that we've been given based on the schematic design that we were offered with, again, a construction cost per square foot somewhere in the range of $1,500 to $1,700 a square foot based on a construction timeline that aligns with the project scope. And so to compare it apples to apples to that project in Fresno, I think wouldn't be 100% appropriate, but I do think based on looking at that, that our number in full build out should be much closer to that dollar amount than what the dollar amount that was originally suggested. You know, and again, there's a lot of variables in that going forward, but ultimately, until we get to a formal cost estimate component, once it's, you know, designed, you know, I can bring those figures back to you.
And once we get to that,
Because that's what you need. You need the engineer's cost estimates in order to figure out how much this is gonna cost you.
and then
If-
we can move forward either with them or we can go with another contractor.
Yeah, and
Correct.
so just to kind of walk you through the process, kind of the, what we have, entered into the agreement with Griffin Structures is to be, again, the master architect. So they do the initial design and they build the bridging documents where the bridging architect will finish all of the, you know, really finite details of the project, and then it'll actually go to bid for construction. But all that gets handled through them. So the actual contractor that does the work is not Griffin Structures. They're just doing the construction management component. So they ensure that it's built to the design standards that we choose. The actual construction piece is a different party altogether.
Okay, so if we could get Griffin Structures to give us an update, and we're gonna ask them the very pointed questions of 28 million when Fresno got it essentially the same station built for 14 million. We want to know why, and if we don't have an answer for us, then we're gonna need to move forward. Yeah, I'm asking to put that on the agenda.
And if the council, if I can just reach out to them and provide that in an email, I'm happy to do that. Either, however you guys prefer, we're happy to provide either way.
Yeah, it's a highly visible project, so I'd like to see him come here and present, give
Sure.
us an update. We haven't seen him in a while.
Yep, sounds good.
Thank you. Then the next item for a future agenda item is to get a list of attorneys to recover against the appropriate parties for the $350,000 payout that occurred by the previous
We're going to
council.
we're going to have probably your first meeting is July 1, so the second one is gonna be July 15, right? We're gonna Zoom people in from San Francisco
Okay, so you're setting
for
up
you,
that
for you
appointment.
to interview. And you may want to do this at a special meeting.
Okay.
So I just need to,
You would coordinate that and let us know.
well, they all want to know what's at the end of the rainbow, right? So you show them, you know, what happened and that time so that they'll take your case on at least a quasi contingent basis.
And you're going to show them that path to the actual, what the settlement would be in that
What-
case.
Yeah.
And then we would.
What the
actually
treasure is at the end of the rainbow, yes.
Got it. Thank you for that. Okay. And then I'd also like to see the status of commissions. I think we have some commission appointments that are up for renewal in June or July. I'd like to make sure that we don't miss those and we vote on those at the next meeting. Okay. Any other tonight? All right. With that, we'll move on to our closed session, but did council want to do council reports now, or is it too? All right, council reports, Councilmember Trio.
I just have a couple of things I would recognize, side of, first one is I want to recognize well, first of all, my niece graduated from Fresno State, so I just want to recognize her, Katie Mathis, on May 16th. But while I was there was an individual in our community that graduated and got her master's, and I kind of reached out. Priscilla Santiago got her master's, so I want to just congratulate her and give her a big, shout out. And also want to, just thank the staff that actually, they're not here, that fed the Public Works, because I seen them barbecuing. So I want to just tell them thank you for barbecuing for the Public Works. I showed up and I was providing them Uncle Harry's bagels, because I guess was last week was, I think it was Public Works, and so we provided, my business did that, but I seen our staff there providing a good lunch for them. So thank you for that. It means a lot. Another one is, I sponsored a minor league baseball team, the Astros, and I went out to the little league field and I watched them. They were playing for the championship, and I took them pizza and recognized them and apologized that I hadn't been there. But I really got a sense of, our community, and and coaching football for 19 years, high school football, not kids. Um, it really opened my eyes. I sponsored all their uniforms, and I went to them and I told them, you know what, next year I'll do more than that. I'll get a lot of contractors and we'll take care of this. And I just want to congratulate them. They lost for the championship. They took second, and they're called the Astros. And there was a female head coach there, and I told her, hey, next year I'm going to help you out. But it really affected me, because at the end of the day, I don't have a lot of time. I miss a lot of things because I was working, but I went there and I seen a lot of kids that really need a lot of help. And so my next couple of years is going to be to not only get people to donate money to fix this, but to donate time to teach people how to coach, because I think there's a lot of need out there for our community. I think it's one of the preventive measures for the police department. And I think that it really opened my eyes, and I bring it to the forefront, because it really touched my heart, because I seen little kids not even weighing 30, 40 pounds, but they did a really good job and they took second place. So, my hat's off to the Astros, and that's it, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Ravalos?
Okay, well, a lot of events were taking place, believe it or not. We had two car shows in our community, very back to back. And you know what? People came out, and that's what you want to see, people coming out. We haven't seen them for a while. The people started to come out. These events are really starting to pay off, I guess. People are getting out more, even though it was kind of warm, but they still got out. And also, of course, I went in Vegas, the ICS convention there. It was a great tool as a group, going as a group, guys. Um, it showed that the people we made contact with, they showed that, hey, these guys are for real, and these guys are genuine, and that's what they like to see. I mean, a lot of time when you go to these trade shows, all they see is the brokers and the other ones. But when you see the staff and that go with it, and their counsel and a developer that goes with you, hey, it's a serious game in their heads. These guys are serious, and people that we made contact. Uh, we made contacts. Jerome met us later. Thanks to Jerome, but we had already made contacts when we hit the ground running that day. So we made a lot of contacts, and they were impressed. But also in the long run, hey, we took care of business. I like to say more, but I can't. I got to wait. It is what it is sometimes. But also I attended Heartland. They had a ceremony back with all these kids for the high school ceremony and award assembly, and it turned out nice. The high school had it at Legends. Believe it, all places they treat them at Legends. It's good. And then of course, I guess they all went to a trip to Universal Studios. I guess I'm not sure where they went, but it was it's good that the kids in our community, it's a lot better. They're more respectful. But they're the future, guys. We have to take care of the future of the young generation. Um, I like to see down the road, I like to see bring back the Explorer program. had in the past, if that's possible, you know. And, but all I gotta say that, hey, good things are happening in the city of Selma, and it's moving very good. And all I gotta say that the free haircuts for, that was given out that day was amazing. All I guess, we have a great council now. We have a great, the city's moving forward. We have our citizens out there. They're great. Our staff members, they're genuine. Hey, they're good. Um, the new intern city manager, he's excellent.
You awake still? Oh,
He's still awake. Yeah, but I gotta, tell your wife, thank you for allowing you to be here with us. That's all I gotta say. Thank you.
Councilman Oscara?
I just want to say that the trip to Vegas was a lot of fun. A little apprehensive about the flying, but I made it through. And it wasn't even that bad on the way back. It's like, man, that guy was in a hurry or something. We hadn't even finished our drinks and he comes on and he says, hey, drink them or toss them. It's like, what? We're already descending to Fred. And I'm like, what the heck? But anyways, it was a non-eventful flight. I wouldn't say I liked it, but uh, a lot of the things that they said, about being out there and doing stuff for our city and being there as a team, along with Jerome, who, he provided a lot of information that we had the stuff, but I mean, he knows his geography and what's available and stuff. And so he was able to provide on the spot, hey, you know what, we got this property, blah, 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 whatever. But, and he got to eat a steak meal for free. But no, just putting all kidding aside, it was a wonderful trip. Looking forward to next year. There's some good things coming to summer, but we can't say anything yet because we can't announce anything. But should we say about Costco or no?
Keep it on the down low until we can make
Okay.
a full announcement.
But
So they let us.
well, what else? I haven't really been to anything. I'd just like to commend City Manager Avalos for getting a nice haircut at the free haircut.
Man, council member. That's,
But other than that, life's been good, And I just want to say that please don't think that anything that gets said up here or decisions we make is not a personal thing. It's never about being personal. It's about making the city go forward. And you may say something I don't like, or I may say something you don't like, but you know what? It's not personal. We're doing it for the citizens and for the staff. Let's work together and make Selma better. Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem.
okay, I attended the appreciation award or appreciation event for Public Works that was hosted by Mid Valley. They did a great job. I mean, it just seemed like there wasn't that much involvement, but it was still a great event. Just felt sorry. It was just probably a bad day. It was Memorial Weekend. Not a whole lot of people attended, but hey, it was still a great event. Street Fair, I attended the one on May 17th where we recognized Selma High School Band and Percussion Team. They were recognized for being the national champions that they took. So they were so excited. Their parents were very excited and they really appreciate the recognition. I also attended the beautiful service for the Memorial Day ceremony that was put on by our Legion Post here in Selma, which they did an amazing job. If you looked at that cemetery, it was beautiful. I mean, they had every flag out there. And the kids that go out there that are, I believe, sixth graders, seventh graders that went out and helped and put the small flags, that was amazing. They did a great job. So I want to say, congratulations. That was a beautiful ceremony. There were some people that came from out of town, said this was one of the best ceremonies that they've ever attended. And Selma did a really great job. So really proud of them. Also, I attended the chamber mixer that was held by the chamber at the Portuguese Hall. They did a great job and that was a lot of fun. And then also I attended the golf tournament that was sponsored by Mid Valley, which I don't golf, but I was putting. and I think I did pretty good. It was a great event as well. I did attend the street fair that John Pena and Marissa Mariscal hosted downtown, and that was a really great event. They had over 170 students that got free haircuts that day, and they had some great vendors out there. It was really nice. It was hot, but they did have a great turnout, so that was really great for, really appreciate them. They're looking forward to doing it again next year. And then just on a personal note, I just want to congratulate the class of 2025 Selma High School students that will be graduating this Thursday. My baby will be graduating that day, so just want to congratulate them. Thank you.
I attended the Coffee with the Mayor event. Appreciate the interim city manager coming out, and everybody who came out to espresso themselves about city issues. Thank you. It was a fun time. I attended the Selma Chamber Mixer at the Portuguese Hall. Political season is already ramping up. We had somebody's running for assembly show up and looking for endorsements there. I attended the Business Improvement District meeting, as well as the one tonight, the multi-workshop with the Planning Commission, as well as the Business Improvement District. Thank you for everybody coming out early, getting off work and coming out and coming to that to move our downtown forward with the color scheme. It was nice to have yet another downtown event. I think it was our 5th event where we honored the percussion band of Selma High, their world record holders. Just awesome. You know, a lot of people don't necessarily focus on band when they think about achievers in the high school, and they are #1 achievers. They are world champions and so freaking dedicated. It was just such an honor to be able to recognize them and their incredible parents and coaches. They bring honor to us all. Attended the trade show in Las Vegas that we've all talked about. We'll have more announcements about that. But bottom line is we went there to help bring economic opportunity back to Selma. That's why we're here. We're not here to enrich ourselves. We're here to enrich the people of Selma and our community. And you know, would have even been better if we had someone out there along with our deputy city manager really knows his stuff. If we had somebody marketing it and videoing and helping tell the story, that's what we need. We're missing that in our city. So I think we do it in the right steps. It doesn't have to be a turf war. It can be something that helps our city out and helps to move it forward. So I really hope we all keep that in mind. We can work together. Attended an ad hoc finance committee. Want to thank our new finance director. She worked really hard to get those reports. Thank you so much for that. Really love to see the daylight and finance is still trying. I think we're all still trying to get an understanding of that. The Memorial Day ceremony at Floral Gardens was a real honor to be able to present the six Guerra brothers with the recognition that they so richly deserve. They went to war. You know, most everybody goes to high school and they go on to college or get a job. They went to war, you know, 6 of them. So it was really amazing that they helped our country like that. I attended COG and FCRTA meetings, as I discussed. We were there till 9 the previous time, and then we were there till 8:30 last Thursday. And one of those topics was safe routes to school. And we can really benefit, again, we can really bring that benefit back to our city, and really looking forward to helping those kids out. And so we don't have a need to come out and talk about any more family members being injured. I want to thank the staff. You guys do an amazing job. Don't say it enough, but I really appreciate everything you do. And it's heartfelt. You know, you guys come out here, you don't get a lot of praise. You know, we have issues like we did tonight, but let's remember we're all on the same team. We can all work together, and I respect you very much. And I thank you for your contribution. And I know that we can continue to put Selma first, and we can make it a better city. So let's work together and we can do this, okay? Thank you for staying late tonight. We're going to move on from here to closed session with the chiefs, and we're going to do it in here. So we'll say good night to everybody, and thank you again for coming out. We have oral communications one more time, so come on out. Come on up.
Correction on the minutes of the May 6th meeting. At the beginning of the meeting, you asked for a moment of silence for my aunt Carmen Bayatis, and it's spelled Batis on the minutes, and it's Pallares.
Got it. Thank you for that clarification. Anybody else with oral communications? Anybody online or on the phone with parting words?
Mayor, I see no hands raised at this time.
Thank you. Oh, heck yeah. We have one more oral communication.
Stella Ramirez, really quick. I just want to ask, because earlier at the beginning of the meeting, it was mentioned that there is money getting put into the surveillance cameras that was mentioned. So with that being said, now, like if we have someone we have graffiti out, like in the Barrio side, there's a camera there by Salazar Center. Can we look at that to see who's tagging? Because one of the places there across the fence by Salazar Center is constantly being tagged. So
Where
would
is
they be
it?
able, I'm sorry, it's in the corner of Valley View and Sheridan Street. There is a house there, and those people that live there, they have so much trouble with their fence getting tagged. So going back to look at the cameras now, would they be able to give information on that? You know, look into it, should I say? Thank you.
Did that, do we have cameras?
Anytime we take any crime reports, we're always looking for surveillance, whether it be home, public. And then, you can have someone that is seen tagging, but if they're wearing a hood or we can't get a license plate. So we try to train staff, on how to automatically look for those,
Do we have
that have
cameras
been
at
entering
Valley View and
bodies.
Sheridan, Chief? If you recall.
Not at Valley View and Sheridan. The closest one would be Park and Sheridan. So I don't know that it pans out that far.
Thank you.
Rose Robertson, I forgot to mention in the beginning, been attending, the healthcare district, board meetings.
Sure.
And I do want to say that now that, they had stated they've given $100,000 to Adventists, couple years. So they plan not to do that. So I'm hoping that they will look into maybe, with the city and put our, swimming pool back like we used to have, 50 years ago, the Edgecombe Center where I used to swim, when I was 5 years old when we lived at 2411 Park Street. So hopefully the city will, consider of looking into that as well. It would be great that the kids over there in the Barrio area will have their own swimming pool. It just would be huge for them. It was something we looked forward after picking grapes. It was something we looked forward to from 5 years old to, after, till 4 years straight. That Edgecombe Center was open every summer for us. We did not travel. But that was our fun time, and it will also, getting, the lifeguards around. We need to keep these kids occupied, and all these kids like different things. They like the art center, they like swimming, they like sports, they like a lot of things, and we need to keep them, engaged. And, during the summer, these kids are everywhere. And if we could keep them swimming and also away from the lakes, and there's a lot of drownings as well. And we don't want our kids to be drowning because they're trying to get in these canals and they're swimming wherever they can. And so that's just something we need to start really considering is let's brighten up the Barrio area too. Let's not forget where we come from. So, that would be something we could look into, and I will be emailing all the board members as well. Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay, everybody, good night. Thank you very much. Thanks for coming out. Okay, we'll take a 5-minute break, then we'll go into closed session.